Good morning, guys. Good morning. We are here today. Oil is ripping up here. I honestly had some people arguing with me about whether oil would open higher today. Of course it's going to. The Strait of Hormuz blockade is coming. 10 o'clock today is when they're talking about the Strait of Hormuz blockade actually happening. A lot of people think this is just a bargaining point for the president. I don't necessarily believe that. I think he's probably going to try to pull through and actually do it this time. We had negotiations over the weekend with the U.S. and Iran, and they did not go well. Both sides went home. It looks like the big deal breaker was nuclear. Iran was basically like, yo, we're gonna enrich. We were like, nope, we don't want that to happen. And now we're kind of deadlocked in this negotiation phase where, markets are nervous. Oil is popping higher here, guys. If you look at oil is all the way up to 103s to 105s today. The NASDAQ is down on the day as well. Dow futures are down. S&P futures are down. The NASDAQ futures are down today. And yeah, markets are kind of nervous here. Markets are kind of nervous. It's kind of a sketchy day, all things considered. And again, this is all moving to that 10 a.m. deadline for the blockade. So let's go ahead and take a look at where everything is. Again, oil currently, CL futures currently at 103.80. So WTI crude at 103.80s. I think Brent's actually a little bit lower than this. Remember, over the last week or so, Brent has been lower than WTI crude. So I think Brent's actually a little bit lower than this. We have the S&P 500 here. You know, it did feel some of this gap on the upside. There's a fly in my room here, guys. There's a fly in my room. I had one of those fly shooters, the salt shooters. My wife lost it. I'll never forgive her for losing it. But look, so the S&P 500 is now up to 68.20s here. 68.20s. So it is filling some of this gap. But again, you can see it closed on Friday at 68.60s. And so on the Sunday futures open, the S&P 500 did gap down. The NASDAQ gapped down as well here. Here's the NQ. Very similar chart. I don't even have to change my arrows out. NASDAQ gap down and then filled about half of the gap, I would say. So we filled a little bit more than half of the gap down from Sunday's open. We have the Dow here. The Dow is down as well. There's a lot of puns you could say with the Dow being down, you know, but hey, again, Dow is down, but it did fill most of this, or I would say, yeah, most of this gap. Halfway point is probably about here. So we did fill more than 50% of this gap down. So a little bit of rebounding this morning, but most indices opened red yesterday. Again, oil, WTI at 104. We can look at gold here. Gold is sitting at 4,700s right now, 4,700s. We can take a look at Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin over the weekend, when this news just was announced that Vance and his team could not get a deal done with Iran, when this news was announced, Bitcoin dumped down, like dramatically dropped. Huge percentage drops for Bitcoin. Because remember, Bitcoin doesn't close over the weekend like futures or stocks or anything else. Bitcoin stays open, and it was not a pretty sight for Bitcoin, really, here. So Bitcoin did drop. You can see this drop on the 11th when this happened. This is a 15-minute chart as well. So here's Bitcoin when all of this stuff happened, and Bitcoin dumped down here as well. And so what we're seeing now is this conflict really is influencing everything. What's up, Crypto, Jay, Chef, Dragos, Pawn, BB, Yellow, Apex, Julie, Yee, Rob, Chan, Demetrius, Brian, Glass, Pew, Gamer, It's, Vac, Big Slum, Seaman, X, Jason, Skur, Toby, Deck, Matthew, Sergio, Dark, BB, Elated, Diem, Kane, Old Hack, Donald, Farmer, what's up, guys? Good morning, good morning. Simon, what's up, brother? Good morning. Yeah, hit the like button, guys. If you don't hit the like button and you don't hit the subscribe button, I will judge you forever for that. All right, we do have Britt here. He's just silent, not saying anything, which is okay, you know.
I was just letting you finish talking.
Dude, I never stop talking, bro. You know?
Yeah, but kind of in a flow. I didn't want to interrupt you. But good morning, everybody. And good morning, you too, John. I hope you're doing good. And I'm with you, dude. I think that the blockade is absolutely going to happen, despite what some people may say.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It could be reminiscent of the deadline that we saw last week, where it was like 8 o'clock deadline. As we got closer to that, Iran was more likely, or Iran reached out and wanted to get a deal done. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That's one of the possible outcomes here. I don't know if it's the most probable outcome, but it's one of the most, it's one of the possible outcomes here. If we look at 10-year treasuries, again, like I said, Britt and I are kind of on the same page where I think he's serious. Some analysts are saying that this is just like a big bargaining point. And to a certain extent, it probably is. But I do think he's serious. I think he's intending to follow through with it, if there is no deal done. And again, like, I think he's made a lot of threats. People are saying taco, which, again, the abbreviation for taco is Trump always chickens out. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with any of that. But a lot of people are going to say this is just another taco thing where he threatens one thing and then, does another. If we take a look at yields today, here's yields. Yields, I'm assuming, have jumped up. Yeah. So yields have jumped up over the weekend. Here is, what is this? This is a 10-year treasury yield. It's almost to 4.34% this morning, up slightly. We could look at 2-year treasuries as well. Another thing we should look at, here's 2-year treasuries just so I can get a good look at this. They are at 3.8% today. You can see the jump that yields made over the weekend here. Yields did jump up 3.81% for 2-year treasuries. Now we can take a look at the Fed Watch tool as well. Now the Fed Watch tool, one of the things that we're seeing here is that after this negotiation ceasefire fell through type of thing, we do see a little bit higher odds next week, or no, in 2 weeks, for a rate hike. About almost 3.6% chance of a rate hike in the next decision. Now, it's obviously not the majority likelihood, but it is looking like we may cut rates. Also, is the music too loud? Now that I say this, is the music too loud? I think it could be too loud. Well, the chat will answer me here. Is the music too loud, guys? Yes? Okay, so everybody's basically been like, yeah, the music's too loud. My apologies, friends. There we go. Thank you for the answers. I appreciate the wisdom of the chat. Is that better? Let me know. Is that better? But yeah, so anyways, going back to this. Now I don't know if the yes is for the music is too loud or the yes is it's better. So let me know, guys. Let me know. But
maybe yes, go.
Yeah, listen, it could be much better. Okay, cool. All right. Here, it's a serious time. It's time to be serious, guys. All right, so 3.6% chance of a rate hike in this month's FOMC decision. If we continue going here, if we go all the way to December, which is the end of the year, there's still only a 3.2%. I don't understand how these odds are really, this doesn't even make logical sense. As of now, I'm showing there is a 3.2% chance of a rate hike this year in 2026. But if I go to this month's Fed decision, there's a 3.6% chance of a rate hike. How can the market price in a 3.6% chance of a rate hike just this month alone, but yet a lower percentage chance of a rate hike this year at all? That's not even logical. So whoever, I blame you guys, Chad. I blame you guys. This is not even logical. But the point is, there are a little bit higher odds of a rate hike this year in the Fed Watch tool. A little bit higher. Not a ton. It's still looking like we're going to pulse rates all the way through the year, but slightly higher odds of a rate hike. Now, if we take a look at the NASDAQ here, again, the NASDAQ has been filling some of this gap here. And again, I'm going to do a poll today. What's a good poll for the chat? Yeah. Math is mathing. That's right. Yeah, it doesn't even make logical sense. Hey, let's, what's the odds of a rate hike just this month alone? 3.6% chance. What are the odds of a rate hike all this year? Less than that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't understand math, and that's highly possible, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. Hey, what's up, Ron?
Or I guess statistics would have been a better.
Cash says, I hate Apex, but like you, I used your code to make 4 funded accounts. Hopefully that helps. I mean, yeah, I don't know how to respond to that. Be careful, bro. Scale down your size, dude. All right, guys. Logic poll. Yeah, here, look, we're going to do a poll today. And the poll today is going to be, does the market rebound continue? That's not a good poll. What's a good poll option today? Give me some options here, chat. What's a good poll option today? Hey, what's up? Odds are easy. Yeah. Taco Tuesday. Tuesday we have PPI inflation data as well. So Tuesday is probably the biggest day of the week in terms of economic reports. Do we cut rates this year? I'm gonna make it really easy. Do we cut rates this year? Yes or no? Yeah, dude, I did watch the UFC this weekend, dude. Great fights, honestly. Bro, I wanted to put money on Oldberg. Because I thought Jiri looked a little chinny in his last few fights. I think he's gotten KO'd in his last 3, or in 3 of his last 6. He needs to take like a year off, bro.
Wait, so who won? I'm assuming Jerry lost.
Yeah.
Well, spoilers. I hadn't seen it yet.
Honestly, he lost, and he shouldn't have lost.
Was he overly aggressive and reckless? Because that's usually what he does.
Yes, he was actually. Yeah. Yeah, I think you might be right. Actually, Tanner, you might be right. He said, I think it's more of a higher chance we have a rate hike this month and then a lower chance we end the year with rates above what they are now. But yeah, that would just show an indecisive Fed. Like, hey, we're going to raise rates and then lower them back pretty soon to end the year, where we're at. That doesn't, that would mean we get a rate hike and then a rate cut. Which I don't know if that makes sense to me either. And looking at our initial votes on the poll here, 60% say no rate cuts this year. 40% say we do get rate cuts. So
that you said it doesn't make sense to you. I mean, like, no matter how strong, how strong the rebound of the markets, the economy overall might be after the conflict is over?
Yeah, look, I think with everything going on right now, I think there's a chance that the Strait of Hormuz does not go back to free flow state of oil that it was prior to this conflict anytime soon. And I think with that, we're going to deal with higher inflation from that. And so, yeah, I don't think we should raise rates. I don't think we should cut them either right now. I think we probably should keep them about the same, and I think it's one of those situations where unless we get really weak labor data, like unless we consistently get weak labor data moving forward where, we have weak jobs, and we've seen weak jobs. We're going to find a little bit more jobless claims on Thursday, but we've seen weak job numbers. We've seen weak jobs. We've seen high inflation now. And so it is a situation where we should probably just sit tight and not mess with anything. I definitely don't think we should raise rates and then reduce them like that. Not unless we see like deep inflationary, data or deep spikes to inflationary data. I think we've seen spikes obviously, but we need much bigger spikes. Like as an example, in 2022, when we started raising rates, we were at like 9% plus inflation. And so unless we see some crazy spikes, I'm not saying we have to hit 9%, but unless inflation upticks all the way to like 5+%, I don't think we should get any rate hikes.
You think that just signals volatility or indecisiveness?
What does? Sorry.
If we did, if it, you said you don't think we should see, two rate changes so close together, like you.
Yeah, well, I don't think we should see two opposing rate changes, right? Like close
Yeah.
together. Like I don't think we should raise rates and then lower them right back within a couple months. I think that's
Well, that's what I was
silly,
saying. Do you think that
waste of time.
signals volatility?
Yeah. Well, it definitely signals volatility. It's just kind of a moot point to raise rates and then lower them back in 2 months.
Yeah.
You know, how long do you think this lasts? I really have no idea. And we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. How red will we be? Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think markets are a little sketchy right now, obviously. Here's the NASDAQ. And all I can really do is look at some levels to pay attention to. So let's talk about some levels to watch here. Remember, just to recap the morning news, actually, before we do that, let's recap. All right, so essentially what we've seen here is that we've seen WTI jump up 8%. It's the biggest surge since the war began. Brent is up almost 8% as well, to about $103 a barrel. Dow futures are down. S&P, NASDAQ futures are down. Vance left Islamabad with no deal in place and no agreement with Iran. Now the U.S. president is doing a blockade. It's a selective blockade, and it's supposed to only be Iranian ports, but we'll see if that follows through. Iran came back saying they're not going to allow that blockade. Again, Iran says they're not going to allow that blockade. European natural gas spiked 18%. Bond yields are higher. Dollar is up. Biggest gain of the week. Here's the dollar index right here. So the dollar index gapped up almost to $99 again. Asia markets had a muted reaction. The Europe Stocks Index is down 1.3%, and this is after the United Kingdom refuses to join the blockade, apparently. So the UK is refusing to join the blockade. The IEA reserves are running out. So a supply gap could double. And this starts the earnings week. We do have earnings this week, guys. So specifically today, we have Morgan Stanley earnings that just released. Let's talk about this real quick. So I think Morgan Stanley earnings, at least they were supposed to come out at 7:30 today. Let's see if they did. And this is really the start of earnings. Yeah, Goldman Sachs posted $17.55 a share EPS on $16.40 expected, so better than expected EPS. Revenue at 17.2. They expected 16.95. So we did have Goldman Sachs, not Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs report earnings today. Here is Goldman Sachs' chart, and they're reacting negatively to this. But you can kind of see their numbers right here. Let me fix this banner a little bit. But yeah, Goldman Sachs is reacting negatively to this. And yeah, we'll see if it holds. But this is the Goldman Sachs earnings right here. Again, they posted $17.55, expected $16.40. A lot of people are nervous. We do have bank earnings this week, chat. So bank earnings are coming out. We don't really have anything major today outside of Goldman Sachs. But tomorrow we have JP Morgan, BlackRock, Citigroup, CarMax, Johnson & Johnson, Wells Fargo, Albertsons, Bank 7, New Horizon, and more tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning we do have big bank earnings. We also have PPI inflation data tomorrow. Wednesday we have Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Progressive, PNC, ASML, M&T Bank, and more. So bank earnings basically peppering the week this week with earnings. Thursday we have Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. So TSM earnings are going to be April 16th on Thursday. We also have Abbott, Charles Schwab, Bank of Mellon, Pepsi, Netflix, Alcoa Thursday. Friday we have a couple small banks, but yeah, bank earnings, TSM earnings, and Netflix earnings this week. So
you said European natural gas jumped 18%. What's it sitting at?
Here, let me see.
Okay.
I'm showing EU natural gas is up to 47.48 right now, 47.48. So yeah, it jumped up. It was at about 44s prior to this, but no, let me see where it's at. Okay, yeah. You always got to make sure, let's see, percentage-wise. I don't know, that's not an 18% jump.
What to what?
Okay, so I'm showing Dutch TTF futures are what's moving that much. Do we have any economic reports today? No, not really. Let me see. Let me make sure. We have Moran speaking later. So Moran speaks, I think he speaks at like 6 o'clock. We have existing home sales in Moran speaking at like 6:20. Yeah. So. Yeah, so. Yeah, so rate cuts are basically dead on the Fed watch tool. That's good. Goldman Sachs went on to dip. Yeah, Goldman Sachs is down on their earnings report, and maybe this is something that we're going to see here. We also had news that Iran ambassador to India says they have good contact with Indian government on passage of Indian ships, and wants to help India. We also had China come out basically critical of the blockade news. It wouldn't surprise me if we got rate hikes this year. Yeah, it's not going to be this month, though. There's too much uncertainty going on this month. I would be shocked if they cut rates this, or if they raise rates this month. I just don't think they're going to. NASDAQ, S&P, Dow are falling down here. So look at this. Here's the S&P 500. It is dipping down now. Yeah, it's the Dutch TTF natural gas futures are the ones that are up 18%. Okay. But it's already kind of faded back down. So it spiked 18% during intraday Asian session. It's currently up 8% to 47.4. Still a big move, but yeah, it kind of filled some.
Settled back down some.
Right, exactly. It settled back down. So it's no longer super high. Also, Netanyahu is apparently speaking on something right now. He said the ceasefire could end quickly. The president's blockade begins in under 3 hours. Yeah, 10 o'clock today, guys, is the deadline for this blockade. Right, so at 10 a.m. today, that's when we're supposed to be sending ships over, is what I'm hearing. Right, so 10 a.m. today is kind of the big market point. So we will be streaming at 10 to see if the markets move, you know, initially with it.
I'd be shocked if they didn't.
Yeah, well, I think they're already going to be baked into the potential move at that period of time. This is like 30 minutes after the bell, so.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, I defer to your expertise or
I am
wisdom,
right,
whatever.
Dude, I am right. I'm always right here, dude. You know, when in doubt, John's right. That's my go-to motto. Countdown for 10 a.m. That's not a bad idea. I can do a countdown. I want my flowers, John. I called the rate hikes in January. When we get rate hikes, I will give you digital flowers. You know, until then, you get nothing. All right. Until then, this is me. I'm gonna put my response to you in the chat right now. You know. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna raise rates or cut rates this year. I think it's the point, and I think that's what a lot of people are pricing in. Poll on if the president backs out.
We do neither.
I think that's the most probable thing, is that we do neither. We have no rate hikes, we have no rate cuts, we stay the same, you know. Yeah.
Okay. By the way, did silver track up with gold?
Probably. If gold's up, silver's up. And gold is down, actually. So silver is down. Most of these.
Oh, I thought it tracked up. My bad.
No, you're good. It's down. But it's not as down as a lot of other things. It's filled most of the gap. So if you look at the screen here, here's gold. Right? Gold, to understand, it moves in like a macro way. It follows macro markets a lot of the time. Not always. There's certain things where they can inverse macro markets, but generally they follow macro markets. And so gold ended up gapping down with all the other major indices, Bitcoin, and more. So gold gapped down, but then gold filled a majority of this gap. It's starting to push back down here. Gold is at 47.30s an ounce. It closed at 47.70s. So it is down slightly from this escalation news over the weekend, but it has filled most of the gap back up here for gold. So gold is back up some. Silver is a very similar way, although I think silver might be lagging a little bit behind gold. Yeah, so silver did a similar thing where it gapped down, closed the day at 76 on Friday, opened back up yesterday, you know, around the 73, 74 level. Went as low as 72s, and then now it's back up to 74s. So it has filled less than half of the gap back up. So lagging a little bit behind gold, but they're both doing similar moves here, which is they both are down from the escalation news over the weekend here. And here's the SPY. You can see it in pre-market. A lot of things over the last like 20 minutes, 30 minutes are moving back down here. So it could be, you know, there could be a lot of different reasons. It could be Goldman Sachs dropping the big percentages that it has. You know, just on a percentage move, Goldman Sachs has dropped from 915 or so all the way down to 876. So Goldman Sachs is down 4.5% or 4.25%, about 4%. We'll call it 4%. So Goldman Sachs has dropped about 4% this morning on its earnings report. It also just could be Netanyahu speaking right now.
I'm curious as to what effect that will have.
Yeah, so Netanyahu said just now a couple things. First thing is he said, I spoke with U.S. Vice President Vance. He called me from his plane on the way back from the meetings he had over the weekend with Iran. He reported to me in detail, as members of this administration do every day, on the developments in the negotiations. In this case, what hurt the negotiations. He said it came from the American side, which could not tolerate Iran's blatant violation of the agreement to enter the negotiations. The understanding was to halt the fire and the Iranians would immediately open the straits. They didn't do that. The Americans couldn't accept it. He also made it clear to me that the central issue on the table from the president's perspective in the U.S. is the removal of enrichment material and ensuring there will be no more enrichment in the coming years, and that could be for decades. No enrichment within Iran. That's their focus. Of course, is important to us. And he also came out saying the ceasefire with Iran could end quickly here. So all of this, I don't know. I think this is more the Goldman Sachs move, though, because I think if we look at oil, right, if this was tensions dragging the S&P NASDAQ down short term, you get a little static coming from you Brit. If this was tensions, we would see oil spiking up here, and we just don't see oil spiking up in the NASDAQ S&P going down. And so I do think the drops that we're seeing over the last like couple minutes are probably from maybe Goldman Sachs numbers coming in a little bit worse than expected. Goldman Sachs, what did they report? About 625. Yeah, so most of these moves are Goldman Sachs reported earnings here. And so markets are kind of falling down, I think, somewhat on that. We can also look at Microsoft here. Software, mostly jumping down. Software has been in trouble. We've seen slumps in software continuously. And so Microsoft's down 0.3%, Apple's down 0.5%, Tesla's down 0.6%, Amazon's down 1%. Oh, was at least. Nvidia down 1.4%. Yeah, will we follow through with everything at 10 a.m. today? Or will we get a taco move? I hope we don't. You know what I mean? I hope we get a deal done in time. I don't think we're going to, but I hope we do.
Yeah, are you still getting static from me?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
And maybe we should do a poll on that one here. We did a poll this morning. Do we get rate cuts this year? 59% say no, 41% say yes. So do we get rate cuts this year? Again, 40% say yes, 60% say no. He wants the oil.
What were you saying the second poll would be that you were considering doing?
I don't know. Will the president follow through with the blockade at 10 a.m.? I don't know if that's what I said prior, but I think that's a good.
I I think that's what you said, but like official or unofficial poll, like just answer it in the chat or.
I mean either one. Right now, I'll let this
what's up,
poll. Do we get rate cuts this year? 60% say no, 40% say yes. The other question is, obviously, why do you keep saying deal? Deal with whom exactly, man? What are you talking about? I mean, I think the answer to that is pretty obvious. I'm talking about a deal with Iran, you know? Yeah, you could say, yeah, you could say they're whatever. I'm not really going to touch on that. But listen, I could get a deal done with anybody, okay? It doesn't mean, just because you don't like them doesn't mean a deal doesn't exist, you know? And so, yeah, do we get a deal done? I think, regardless of who they are or what they're doing, you know, deals happen.
I mean, yeah, I mean, especially amongst, you know, temporary adversaries. That's who you strike deals with in general, or try to.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cuts, don't see an argument for that. Ray's not a good argument for that either. U.S. Navy just sent a message to all vessels about the blockade. You don't make deals to... Yeah, I mean, Mamba. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it. I'm just covering the news, brother. You know? The reality of it is you don't want to be too emotional about any of this stuff, right? You could say, hey, like, let's not make a deal done, or hey, we can't make a deal done. The reality of it is the markets are looking at a potential deal, you know? If we can't get a deal done, the big question right now, and again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with any of this stuff. Other analysts are reporting that they don't think the president plans to follow through with this at all. Again, I'm not saying I agree with this, but they're basically saying they think he's just doing this to try to force their hand at a deal with them, you know? And, you know, you could say, hey, we don't make deals with whomever, right? It doesn't matter. If that's true, what have the last 3 weeks been about? You know, of course, we're trying to get some type of deal done. Now, it might be on shaky ground. We don't know. But
realistically, you just have to hope. I mean, you know, I think for the good of everyone, that cooler heads prevail. Right. In any situation, mostly, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's impossible to never negotiate. Of course, there's some negotiating going on. Like, you know, I don't understand what the holdup is, but that's okay. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I think markets are going to be waiting for 10 o'clock today to see if we follow through with the blockade.
I think realistically, I mean, we're always negotiating with everybody all the time. I mean, that's how long-term peace prevails. And
of course, yeah.
You know?
Of course, yeah. I mean, look, they could be whoever you want them to be. We're still gonna try to get a deal done. I mean, that's the first step of diplomacy, you know.
Yeah.
Why till 10 o'clock? I'm late. So I think the president came out. Let's take a look at the president's tweets recently.
Okay.
And I think sometimes I report news and people immediately assume that I agree or disagree with whichever news I'm reporting, and then they get upset. The reality of it is I'm just reporting what is moving the markets. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with any of it. The president did tweet. Let me see. 20 hours ago, he said Iran promised to open up the Strait of HORMUZ, and they knowingly failed to do so. This caused anxiety, dislocation, and pain to many people in countries around the world. Let's see if he tweeted any more outside of this. More posts. Yeah, so what I'm reading here, and again, this is just what I'm reading, is that HORMUZ blockade officially begins at 10 a.m. today. So it's selective, apparently, only Iranian ports. Iran says they won't allow it, of course. The strategic reserves are running out. But at 10 o'clock today, you know, we're going to be watching for the actual implementation of this. So again, 10 a.m. today is when he says that they're actually going to officially begin the HORMUZ blockade.
By the way, and I'm just gonna say, I mean, like, I know I'm probably a little biased, and I'm just gonna go ahead and acknowledge that first. But I think you always at least attempt to present news as objectively as you can.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I try to look. People, like I said, people get upset because of the things I'm reporting, right? The reality of it is, I'm just covering what's moving markets. Doesn't mean it's true or not true. A lot of the time, it's just rumors. There's a big famous saying in markets, guys, and it's important to understand this. It's buy the rumor, sell the news event. And so that means that when that basically means you're playing off of rumors. And once the news is actually announced or followed through with, the markets might actually go the other way. And this is a really important dynamic. You see it a lot with earnings, where a stock moves up, 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 leading into their earnings report, and then they report good earnings, and then the stock moves down. And you get a lot of people that are like, yo, this is manipulation or whatever. It's not. It's buy the rumor, sell the news dynamic. It's rumors pushing the market up, and then when those rumors are confirmed, people start taking profit. Very, very common dynamic in markets here.
Yeah, it's emotionally driven.
Right. Yeah, and I'm just telling people what others are saying, and I think it's important to understand what others are saying, because again, the market is based off of rumors. Rumors are what's getting priced in. And so it's not always that easy as just to wait till everything's perfectly confirmed to see, what's going to happen. That's just not how it goes. Market moves on rumors, guys. That's the reality of it. So again, Bloomberg reported that the U.S. will begin implementing a blockade of all maritime traffic entering and leaving Iranian ports today at 10 a.m. New York time. This is said by the U.S. Central Command following up on the president's announcement. Bloomberg also reported again, U.S. forces will begin implementing the blockade, which applies only to vessels entering and departing. Fortune confirmed it. They said U.S. Central Command said the HORMUZ blockade will begin today at 10 a.m. and indicated it also will be selective, despite the president's vow that the strait should be open to everyone or no one at all. The blockade will be enforced impartially against vessels of all nations entering or departing the ports and coastal areas, including all Iranian ports on the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. So 3 reputable financial outlets. Bloomberg reported it twice, and Fortune also confirmed it. So, yeah, per the U.S. Central Command, the blockade is set to begin at 10 o'clock today. 10 o'clock today.
Blaze said, John, I only just arrived, but I'm sure it's all your fault.
Well, it's definitely my fault, dude. Listen, it's always me, okay?
No, I thought we decided I'm the scapegoat here, like the permanent one.
I had a guy where earnings, like Apple went down 5%. Or no, Apple went up 5% or something like this. And the guy blamed my stream for it. And I had to explain to him, I was like, dude, look, Apple has billions of shares. Billions of shares. Like, we could all buy Apple simultaneously in the stream, and Apple would barely budge from it, And so markets just don't work like that. I get it. The GameStop movement makes everybody thinks they can pump and dump stocks, but some stocks are immune to that behavior, like Apple. The biggest weighted stocks, the stocks with the most shares, anybody buying here is just a drop in the bucket for that. And so basically what I'm saying is it is my fault, guys. It is my fault.
I think it's your fault. All the shakers and movers saw what you were saying, and they're like, man, we gotta get on this. John, John's affecting this.
It's spiraling out of control, guys. It's spiraling out of control. The drama continues. That's right. With that said, though, Mamba, it's all love here, brother. It's all love. I appreciate you being in the stream, sir. I appreciate it.
Wait, what's wrong with our mics?
Yeah, but the most interesting part of this deal is your predictions about market movements. Like saying we will strike a deal. I don't know if you just tried to trick me into saying something negative. But I'm not doing it, bro. I'm not doing it. I don't know if I said the U.S. will strike a deal. I think what I said last week was like, I hope they do. Or I might have said I think they will, but because I hope they do. And it's confirmation bias. So no Lambo.
Attempt to.
Right. I hope we do get a deal done. All of you guys should. It's going to be more optimistic for markets. If we don't get a deal done and it turns into a much longer conflict, obviously rates are going up, less rate cuts. We could enter a recession potentially. It just depends. And so I don't necessarily want that to happen. You said it today, bro, but you said I think and hope. Right. And I think we should all hope we get a deal done. I think people get really emotional about this stuff, but I'm just reporting news,
I mean, it's understandable that people get a little emotional, but like you can't allow your emotions to overrule your intellect at the end of the day. You shouldn't.
That's right. Yeah, and look, the Q's still falling down. The Nasdaq.
So why does everybody keep calling? Go ahead, sorry.
The S&P keeps falling down.
Oh.
Yeah. So originally we filled over 50% of the down drop that we had over the weekend. Now the S&P, Nasdaq, and Dow are falling back down here. Look at the Dow. The Dow is what's getting hit the most here. He's calling me Paul Felder because he says I look like Paul Felder, by the way, Britt. I'm assuming that's what you were about to say.
It is, and aside from the beard, I don't really see it.
It's the same guy. It's the same guy that keeps saying it, Yeah, and I'm checking market news here to see. We don't really see oil pushing higher here, is the interesting part. So, we don't really see oil pushing higher. It's slightly higher, but not like a crazy amount.
So, what do you think this is in immediate response to? Or maybe nothing.
Since we don't see oil rising a ton here, if we don't see oil rising a ton, then it's probably not due to the conflict.
Okay.
Yeah, so names that are being reversed from the ceasefire potentially. United Health. No, Boeing is a major one. Let's see where Boeing's at. Boeing is down this morning as well, but Boeing is going to be down. Yeah, so I'm looking this up now, but
Back in just a second.
Originally I thought it was Goldman Sachs causing the drops in markets because Goldman Sachs has dropped almost 5% from their earnings. And so that's what I honestly think it could be. Yeah, Goldman Sachs is by far the highest priced stock in the Dow. No, yeah, around $900 plus. And I think bank stocks with Goldman Sachs might fall too. Let's see, this one's a little bit harder to judge, but I think this is bank stocks coming down to here's JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. They're all gapping down here. So yeah, Goldman Sachs being one of the most heavily weighted stocks in the Dow is probably what's causing the Dow to dip so much here. And we're probably seeing some other reactions to the Dow dropping and everything else, but NASDAQ dropped some.
What are you covering?
So yeah, I think it's just Goldman Sachs being one of the more heavily weighted stocks in the Dow, dragging the Dow down more. Like I said earlier, the Dow is falling down to 47.6 here, so people are pricing in broader bank weakness. Even though the interesting part here is that Goldman beat EPS in revenue. So beat EPS in revenue, it's still down to 874s. I'm also seeing news that was reported, a couple minutes ago that the U.S. military blockade will be enforced in the Gulf of Oman and Arabian Sea east of the Strait of HORMUZ, and the blockade applies to all vessels regardless of the flag, according to a note.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's what a blockade does.
Yeah, well, what's tanking markets right now is Goldman Sachs giving broad bank weakness worries, right? So, you got to understand, like, there's something called sympathy movement in markets, right? And you can see the Dow down. This is from Goldman Sachs dropping significantly from its earnings report. Again, it's down almost 5%. And with that, other bank stocks are following that weakness, so to speak. Not as much, but there's sympathy movement there. All right, this song is a little bit too much. Yeah, Palantir is jumping up because Palantir, remember, does a lot of defense work. Yeah, it does big contracts with defense names. And so Palantir is actually reacting well to this conflict. Look at Palantir. So Palantir is actually up on the day. It's up to 130s right now for Palantir here. I'm getting the feedback again.
Still?
Yeah. It could be just your breathing. You might want to just move it away from, move it a little bit farther away.
Did this help? I mean, I moved back. Sorry, I'm not trying to distract from the stream. It's just...
No, you're good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it seems fine.
Okay. By the way, is Palantir exclusively a defense contractor, or do they do other stuff?
No, they do other stuff. But a big chunk of their business is from defense. And so, yeah. So, again, it's one of the big names that go up with escalation. Like, if there's escalation, Palantir, a lot of the time it goes up with it. Not always, though.
So it's kind of in the same realm as, like, Lockheed?
Yes. With some defense, although it does a lot of stuff outside of defense as well. It is not a Palantir is an AI company, right? So it deals with a lot of different things in AI. And so part of what it does in AI is like defense AI stuff. So it is up to 130s now.
Okay. Speaking of which, how are other AI stocks doing right now?
Sorry, I just see news that MicroStrategy bought almost 14,000 Bitcoin for an aggregate purchase price of $1 billion. So, Strategy is gapping down because Bitcoin's gapping down too. Sorry, how is AI stocks doing? It depends on which kind. Hardware stocks down. You can see TSM is down, Nvidia's down. Like chip stocks are down. I mean, AMD is gapping down. Apple, Microsoft's software names are down. It's both, Max. It's both. Yeah,
it's both.
Yeah, it's both. Bitcoin obviously reacted initially from this big drop over the weekend. So Bitcoin dumped down. It's at 70,000 plus now for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin fell pretty dramatically here. If you bought Goldman Sachs a week ago, you're up. Yeah, no, I'm not saying Goldman Sachs is red over the last week. What I'm saying is it's gapping down from Friday's close. So again, here's Friday's close right here. And Goldman Sachs is now at 875. So here's Goldman. So it's gapping down. Might have been up a week ago. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, Saylor buys $1 billion worth of Bitcoin here. And again, looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin definitely negatively reacted to this whole entire thing. Here's Bitcoin right here. This is the drop we saw. Really, this was like Saturday. We got the news Saturday night, basically. Saturday night is when we got the news. And Bitcoin did not like that at all. It was almost up to 74K. And it was over 74K, I think, for a little while. But could not hold. It has now fallen all the way back down to 70s now. So it's dropped about $4,000. And it's now down to 70s. Jim Cramer also just tweeted Goldman Sachs misses on revenue, but estimates had gotten too high. Still excellent return on equity, smoother EPS, club position trim last week, but we still like Goldman Sachs. Jim Cramer, ladies and gentlemen. OPEC also keeps global oil demand growth forecast for 26 and 27 unchanged. They said they will be 105.07 million barrels per day, down from 105.57 millions in the last estimate. Again, MicroStrategy buying almost 14,000 Bitcoin, worth about $1 billion.
You find that Jim Cramer usually gives pretty good advice, or?
No, he does not. Okay, so Britt probably doesn't understand the Jim Cramer dynamic here, which is Jim Cramer is looked at like there's an inverse Jim Cramer thing. So like Jim Cramer, basically people say anything he says is going to happen, the market does the opposite. So if he's bullish on gold, gold's probably dropping. If he's bearish on Bitcoin, Bitcoin's probably going up. So forth and so on, right? So he's kind of looked at as like a reverse indicator. Jim Cramer.
That's weird.
Well, they say it's because he has too much corporate interest, right? And again, I don't dislike Jim Cramer. I think he genuinely cares about the market, but you also can't really hide from the fact that the past 5 years,
he's been wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
I just find it weird if he's inconsistent that he got to be such a big name in it. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah. Do you guys trust Jim Cramer? Let me know in chat right now. Do you guys trust Jim Cramer?
And also, go ahead, finish your question.
I was just gonna say we did get news just now that Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey are gonna continue talks with the United States and Iran, according to Axios. So Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey will continue talks with the United States and Iran in the coming days in an effort to bridge the remaining gaps and reach a deal to end the conflict. They said, quote, "The door is not closed. It's a bazaar," a regional source said, according to Axios.
Yeah,
so those are optimistic things.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's the thing. Like, even when talks are failing, you should still keep trying.
Sure.
Like throughout whatever else happens. That's my point. Like, you should keep the channels of communication open.
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat right now regarding Jim Cramer here, and it looks like most people do not trust Jim Cramer. So, Checkboard says I could trust him to be incorrect. He's a bag pumper.
Y'all are gonna hurt his feelings.
Jimothy. Sim Jim Cramer to Mumbai. I like Jim Cramer. No. Yes. Do the opposite. No. Hell to the no on Cramer. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut. All the mainstream analysts are right less than 50% of the time. He's a manipulator. No. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's really hard if you're an investor to be wrong. Why is that? It's because most of the time markets are going to increase, right? Like when you zoom out, markets go up long term. It's really hard to be wrong long term. It genuinely is. And so, regardless of whether he's right 50% of the time, I would expect higher accuracy than 50% because the market's going to go up a large majority of the time long term. And so, I don't know.
Especially when you're, supposed to be an expert.
Yeah. I don't dislike Cramer though,
Yeah.
Sir Jimothy
I was just
Cramer.
curious. I was just curious if he was, considered a legitimate source or not.
Yeah, I mean, he's legit. He just, people don't trust what he says. Speaking of Jim Cramer, key point, quote. Oh, never mind. This is not. Okay. I'm not sure how this is all relevant. He says, quote, "We are looking for logo change in golf sponsorships. The enterprise software names will fade. Will CoreWeave step up?" End quote. CoreWeave had some deals done, announced last week. Q started to bounce back as well. The Dow, again, really getting hit by Goldman Sachs earnings today, though. Look at the Dow drop. 47,650s here on the Dow. So, I think there's some important levels to look at. So, let's look at the Dow here. All right. Number one, I think we got this level kind of staring at us right here, which is 47.5s. 47.5s right here. Right around the 200 exponential on a 4-hour chart. Right under the low of the day here. So here's the low of the day. Here's where we are now. And so I think watching this level here, this 47.5 level, is probably a reasonable level to watch. I'm not an investment professional, of course, but I think it's probably a reasonable level to watch. Above us, we have 48K. Now, 48,000 is right above the high of this last move where we tried to fill this gap. So this level here, and I think if we zoom out some, we might have some support there long-term as well, 48,000. Psychological level, whole dollar number. I'm looking at 48,000 short-term, 47.5 underneath us. 200 exponential and the volume-weighted average price are right here between 47.50 and 47.800s. And so, or 47.815s, I should say. And so we do have this level here with the 200 exponential. So this is kind of the range I'm looking at. I'm looking at this range here, obviously, on the Dow. I think, obviously, if we start to break down underneath this range, we could really be in trouble. And I think if we start to push over 48,000 and start to maybe fill some of this gap on the downside, that could be optimistic for the Dow. We'll see what happens there. The S&P 500 here, if we look at the S&P, this top is right around 830s. We're going to watch this top up here. The bottom is right around 6750s or so. But we'll watch this level here as well. So we're looking at this range. Volume weighted average price is at 6,800s on the S&P on the 1 minute. So we're gonna, or anywhere actually. So we're gonna look at 6,800s, and we're gonna watch this range to see what happens. I love Cramer. Yeah, do we get some type of deal done, chat, before 10 o'clock today? 10 a.m. is the big
I say
thing.
unlikely.
No?
Unlikely, I think.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to get confirmation bias too deep in here, but I think I'm definitely factoring that in some with what I think. No. Chat basically says no. And again, I kind of agree. Like, I don't know if we're going to get a deal done, unfortunately. No deal, but Taco. Naval blockade of Iran. Yeah. Also, I'm showing Paramount's acquisition of Warner's may be investigated by the UK competition authorities. Also,
Well,
Russia's... Go ahead, dude.
I was going to say like a monopoly investigation.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. And that's the biggest risk, is that, you know, originally Netflix was going to buy Warner Bros. They ended up backing out of the deal, and Netflix reacted positively to it. But one of the big conditional factors is approval, obviously. And so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Russia warns Hormuz blockade will hit global markets. Dmitry Peskov says the U.S. move to block the Strait of Hormuz would disrupt global trade and markets, responding to the president's plan of targeting Iran, warning impacts are likely despite limited clarity on details. He says it's a choke point for oil and critical goods. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think all of this is obvious.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it wasn't, there'd be no point in blockading it.
Right. Water's wet, basically, is what he's saying.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah. And then the NASDAQ is, I'm looking at 25,000, and really I'm looking at the 200 exponential here at about 120. Volume weighted average price just around 25.50. Here's 25,000 though on the NASDAQ. I am looking at this. This is a big level right here, 25K. Right, that's what I'm saying, Ty. Like, wow, blocking ports is gonna impact oil? No, dude, really? We get sometimes Fed speakers come out and they say the most obvious things, like it's like a deep quote. They'll be like, yeah, you know, inflation rising could affect rate odds. It's like, well, yeah, you know, that's what happens.
When they come out with obvious statements like that, you wonder if they overestimate themselves or underestimate everybody else.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of both. As of now, CoreWeave does not own any side. Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's funny.
It is. Yeah, what happened with CoreWeave last week? Didn't they announce a partnership with somebody or merge or something like that?
I believe it was with Meta, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. Let me reference this, but I think it was with Meta. Is who CoreWeave announced the deal with. Let me see.
Looks like someone said it in chat, but yeah, confirm, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. I believe it was with Meta though. And CoreWeave now back to over $100 a share. Oh, it's Meta and Anthropic.
Oh, okay, might be.
I gotta make sure AI is right. AI is saying Meta and CoreWeave did a $21 billion AI infrastructure deal that was announced Thursday the 9th. Meta committed approximately $21 billion to CoreWeave for AI cloud capacity running through December of 2032. Let me get confirmation on this, but I think that's what this is. I thought I heard something about it. See, this is what I'm confused about, though, and this is where I gotta make sure AI gets it right. Because I'm showing TSM reports Thursday, April 16th. Yeah, so again, here's CoreWeave, again, up to 103s. Again, CoreWeave did an SEC filing April 9th, 21 billion. AI cloud capacity deal for Meta will include early NVIDIA Vera Rubin platform deployments. So, someone said CoreWeave sounds like a hair salon. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that just struck me funny. So, sorry.
Microsoft recovers by June. Stock has done nothing. Yeah, I mean, Microsoft's getting caught in the software slump of things. You know, software's been slumping. A direct quote by me. But no, software has been down. Microsoft, obviously, there's a lot of like cybersecurity names that are also struggling in the wake of everything going on. Again, the big overarching worry is that software is going to get its market share eaten by AI.
I was going to ask if that was what.
Yeah, like it basically, software companies. I'm trying to think of the easiest way to put this. Like the barrier of entry for software companies used to be much more expensive and much more time consuming. Now that AI is here, AI can do a lot of stuff, and replace a lot of different, specifically SaaS systems, software as a service. And so, you know, prior to all this stuff, one of the biggest industries was what's called SaaS, software as a service. Now you can build your own software much easier. You can have software automate things much easier than it used to be. And so some of these software companies have really been in a struggle, including Microsoft. You know, now Microsoft has had a pretty big slump from its highs. It was at 555 last July. It's now at 370. So percentage wise, it's taken a hit.
Is AI? I mean, are they pretty well known to operate within the parameters you set for them, or do they sometimes go outside of those parameters?
Some are better than others. You know, from my experience, and this is just my experience, ChatGPT will just kind of tell you whatever you want to hear. I've said this before. I could be like, yo, I'm going to win the lottery. You know, I'm going to have 1 million subscribers tomorrow. And ChatGPT will say, yeah, John, you are going to have 1 million subscribers tomorrow. That's true. I can say, hey, I'm going to win the lottery every day for the next 5 days. And ChatGPT will be like, you know what? That's true. You are going to win the lottery every day, John. And while I want to believe that, you know, I'm skeptical. It's a summer
based.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I was just a bet based on the odds. Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. So ChatGPT is really bad about that. But there's some other ones that are actually pretty good. There's some other ones. I like Perplexity a lot. I like Claude a lot. Obviously, Claude's the big one recently with Anthropic. But I like Perplexity too. They're all decent. Perplexity has really good digital design. Claude has really good programming, is what it is. So, you know, they're all good at different things. And eventually, I think over time we're gonna see a combination of all that stuff in one. You know, but I would say my favorite one right now is Claude. For sure. Like Claude is the one I use the most regularly now. But they're all pretty good.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right about that. A lot of that confirmation bias, because I had an acquaintance who was telling me like, yeah, I went on this AI deep dive about whatever the topic was. It really doesn't matter. It's like and told me I was right about everything. I was like, yeah, it was telling you what you want to hear. Like, it's confirmation bias. It doesn't mean you're right.
Yeah. No, 100%. And ChatGPT is the worst, and that's the one that most people widely use is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is decent at summarizing things. It's not good at querying things. Like, what I mean by that, it's not good at referencing news and data. You know, it gets it wrong a lot in that regard. It'll tell you things that didn't happen. It'll tell you things that aren't true. And then you're going to have to like fact check it and stuff.
Does it ever like compile conflicting opinions in the same answer?
No, it'll usually stick with one story and then just kind of stick with it regardless of the truth, right? And so, yeah, it just depends, you know. Yeah, Palantir is gapping up, guys. I see some people mentioning Palantir. Palantir's up specifically because of the escalation news. Palantir's working with defense, and so Palantir's up a lot on that. Yeah, I did see that the Fed is getting into private credit. And that's the big risk, right? Again, just to give some understanding, if you hear the word private credit worries thrown around a lot, what they mean by that is after 2007 and 2008, banking got a lot more restrictive. They started putting a lot more rules on banking after 2007, 2008. And so this other sector of the market ended up coming from that, which is now, what they essentially started doing is they started offering those type of loans through other means. Basically, they called it private credit. They would fund different things outside of banking, but the banks would sometimes have exposure to it, so it's kind of like a loophole behind it or whatever. And that industry grew a lot over the past 10 to 15 years, since that period of time, 10 to 20 years. Well, now there's worries about that industry starting to struggle. A lot of these organizations started putting restrictions on withdrawals, so they stopped letting people withdraw as much. That caused even more worries. And so that whole industry is starting to kind of trickle into everything else it's connected to. Like in some ways it's banking as well. So that is the private credit worry, is that industry starting to struggle. And we'll see if those cracks trickle into broad markets, but has to do with software as well. But yeah, I think the president did tweet about Palantir. I have to go back and look at exactly what he said regarding Palantir, but he did say something about them that I was reading. I think it was late last week he said this. He's been tweeting a lot, so it's hard to figure out. Yeah, but here, this is the big one that is making people nervous here. So this is the big one making people nervous. It says the U.S. to blockade ships entering or exiting Iranian ports on April 13th at 10 a.m. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. So this is the one that's making people nervous right now. It's 10 a.m. today, April 13th. The U.S. is going to start their blockade.
DJT just sounds like an MMA moniker, like GSP or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's him. He might be one. Also, guys, join our Discord. Our Discord is completely free and doesn't cost anything. Great way to help support the channel. Here's our Discord link. We got a decent amount of activity in there now. We got thousands of members. Come hang out with us after the stream is over. You will find me in there occasionally, And so if you haven't already, join our Discord. Here's a link.
It would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. If you don't, I'll never speak to you. You're shunned.
Cry on stream.
You're shunned from here if you don't join. But yeah, so Palantir is sideways. Here's the NASDAQ. I'm waiting for the opening bell. I think a lot of markets are waiting for the opening bell right now. I think we might see, sometimes what we see is we see the initial reaction yesterday at Sunday's open. And then we get kind of sideways action leading into the opening bell, and then boom, the opening bell happens, and we get either a continuation or a reversal. And so that's what I'm looking for right now, is how will this insert the market? How will this impact the market? And we'll see. We'll see. Dude, I don't know where the flies went. They ended up getting out of here.
If you don't, a bunch of flies will come in here.
I know. Honestly, Carol lost my salt shooter. She got me one of those salt pumps, and dude, that thing, when I hurt my knee, I bought a bell, as kind of like a troll, joke. I would ring the bell and be like, Carol, as a joke. Those bells mysteriously disappeared one day. She never said anything. They just disappeared.
Of course they did.
I'm sure they went in the trash, but they just disappeared.
Also, I'm sorry, every time you mention the fly gun, I just picture you in a safari hat, creeping around hunting flies.
Dude, I was with that thing. That thing's so much fun. That's basically me.
Oh, They are. I've had a couple of them. I have one right now.
Right. Give me that fly gun. I turn into that guy from Jumanji. I turn into the safari guy from Jumanji with that thing. You know.
I think who also, I believe, was the butler in Richie Rich.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. He was also the dad in Jumanji.
Yeah, he was. Alan Parrish.
Yeah. That's what it is, a bug assault. Anyways, NASDAQ starting to go higher here. We're at 25,125s right now, 25,126s. And again, we'll see what happens at 10 o'clock today. But the blockade is supposed to start at 10 a.m. I'm sure markets will be volatile leading into this. But you never know. You never know. We did gap down a significant amount. And yeah, we're going to start trading today, though. We did lose a little bit of money on Friday. Friday, even though we had CPI, was actually kind of difficult to trade. It wasn't easy in terms of trading on Friday. And so we will take some positions here. We are over the 200 exponential. So here is Marcus here. So we are over the 200 exponential. We got the volume profile here. We got a little high volume area. If we get down under maybe like 104, I might look for a trade down to like 80s here. And just look for this range. The high volume area is right around where we are now. I need to dip down under maybe 110. Ideally 105. We have this isolated low right here. And so if we break down underneath that, maybe we have some room down to like here. I don't necessarily like the low of the day break. We got some high volume area here as well that I don't really want to mess with. But if we can find this little sliver of price action down here, I will take it if we can fall back underneath there. Oil. Take a look at oil here. Oil's pretty high volume no matter what. Here's gold. Gold's pretty much sideways. Here's the 200 exponential though. So if this holds us up, we honestly could go back up here. So I think a lot of this fear is from Goldman Sachs and earnings as well. But more bank earnings released tomorrow morning. So we're going to see how this is impacting things. Also, TSM earnings are Thursday. So remember, TSM released their monthly revenue report, which I think they did good. TSM is Taiwan Semiconductors. They're a manufacturer of chips.
Okay.
But yeah, they reported pretty good numbers last week on April 10th. But their full quarter one earnings report drops this Thursday before the market opens. It drops at like 2 a.m. But markets are going to be watching that as well. So
I agree with you, Paul, but I think the electric fly swatters are a lot of fun too. Also, honestly, I've tried to avoid asking this so as not to sound foolish, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway. What's the difference between buy market and buy bid?
So a market order, it says get filled immediately regardless of price. Ideally, it's supposed to give you the best possible price, but it's an immediate fill. It's immediate fill. Okay. So when you buy a market order, it fills you immediately. What was the other one? Did you say bid?
Yeah, what's the difference between buy market and buy bid? I'm watching you do stuff, and I didn't want to ask. Like I said, so it's not to sound foolish, but I can't avoid it anymore.
Yeah, no, you're good. Like I'm trying to see if I can show you. Oh, where's the level 2? Here it is. So here's the bid. The bid is what buyers are bidding on. Okay, so the bid is the lowest possible entry price, like within the current range. So you can see the bid move down here. The ask is what the sellers are asking for their price, right? So the bid is basically the lower price. It's what the buyers are bidding on. It's what they want. And then the ask is what the sellers want. It's the higher price in the spread. There's the bid and the ask, right? It's the two spreads. It's the two potential orders. So the bid is the cheapest possible price, meaning if you're trying to buy the bid, that's kind of the best price you can get at that moment. So what that means is that you might not get filled immediately. You might not get filled at all on the bid. You might have to wait a little while for it. The ask price will basically get you filled immediately most of the time because it's what the sellers are asking. So you're basically paying what the sellers are asking in the auction, so to speak. And so that's the difference. Market price will get you filled immediately. Bid is like the best possible price. It might not get filled immediately. And the bid is what's called a limit order Brit. So the bid means that you have to get filled at that specific price or better, so to speak.
Okay, so there, like you said, there's a chance that it might not get filled at all if it doesn't hit the target price.
Right, exactly. So we are seeing some dips in the NASDAQ just now. So the NASDAQ, I don't know if it's NVIDIA related. NVIDIA's back under.
Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. It's good to ask questions. These questions are good. Netflix.
Some people in the chat are saying never use buy market. It's the worst price. Would you agree with that?
I'm a scalper. So no, I wouldn't. I think there's reasons to use it. I don't think it's for everybody though.
Okay.
But it depends. It depends. You know, if I need really accurate fills, don't use the market. All right, because market's going to get you filled immediately. There's usually slippage. There's usually, like, you're usually going to, like, even if it shows you're $300 in profit, if you mark it in or out, you might only net, like, $250 or whatever. So it depends. But if you're up a big amount and you're worried that you have an imminent, like, big move up or down, you can get out of the ask price. It's a little bit more protected versus a market price. It's essentially the same thing, but if you want the comfort of knowing get filled immediately, don't wait, then you can mark it in. But I would say the times in which it's ideal to use a market order are much less. Much less.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Blaze says. Depends on your strategy. If you can handle a few points of slippage, fine. You know, mark it in, mark it out. If you want accuracy in terms of fills, you know, learning how to manage the bid and the ask probably the good move.
Okay.
Also, OpenAI is now touting Amazon Alliance and Memo says Microsoft has limited our ability to reach clients. So here's Amazon. Amazon is going up on this. Microsoft's going down on this news. So breaking news just happened. OpenAI is touting Amazon Alliance, and a memo says Microsoft has limited our ability to reach clients. So look at Microsoft dip on this news regarding OpenAI. Not a huge drop, but it is moving a little bit. Here's Amazon pushing up some on this news. It's up to 237. It's about, you know, filling the gap a little bit cleanly, a little bit more cleanly here. So yeah, Amazon moving up, Microsoft moving down after OpenAI basically touted Amazon and said Microsoft, quote, limited our ability, end quote, to reach clients.
How would Microsoft have limited Amazon's ability? I don't understand that.
Well, it's just because they're working with different AI systems, you know.
Okay.
All right, guys. So look at Amazon fill the whole gap. It's up to 238 right now. So Amazon also pushing up. NASDAQ is net positive on this news. Should I buy the dip in the NASDAQ here?
Just do it. If it doesn't work, blame it on me.
I mean, that's always my plan, dude. Doesn't work, Brit's fault. You know? Definitely Brit's fault.
I'm okay with being the scapegoat. Everybody's got a role to fill, you know?
Honestly, that's why you're here. That's why you're here.
I knew it.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I should have bought it, looks like, because look at the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ is pushing higher right now as we speak here. So first move is the wrong move.
Is that Fly You Fool a Gandalf reference? I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when Gandalf is getting... forgive me. It's been a while since... Yeah. It's when Gandalf fell down, you know, and Frodo is like, no, you know, and Frodo's there. And Gandalf's basically got to be like, you better get out of here, dude, you know?
Yeah. Ian McKellen's a great actor.
He is, yeah. That's right. Mama Paul knows.
Yeah.
Go Amazon, go. Yeah, again. Amazon. Went all the way up to the previous closing price, and now it's falling back down some. Again, Microsoft originally negatively reacted to this, but we'll see if it holds. It's at 368 now. Microsoft has already had a tough time recently, so.
Who runs Microsoft now?
Oh man, I gotta remember the CEO. It is Satya Nadella.
Okay.
Yeah, it's no longer, obviously it's no longer Gates.
Yeah. No, I mean, he stepped away a long time ago, I think, right?
Yeah. Bezos doesn't run Amazon either, so.
That I did not know.
Yeah, Bezos doesn't run it. It's, Andy Jassy. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so here's the Dow. Remember, the Dow was most negatively reacting to Goldman Sachs earnings. Goldman Sachs still down, has not really rebounded much at all. And so you can see the Dow is still pretty red from all of this stuff going on. And again, we're getting closer to the opening bell here, guys. Closer.
So the blockade begins 10 a.m. It's supposed to begin 10 a.m. Eastern time?
Yep, 10 a.m. today.
Okay.
So this is the big story heading into the open. That's the big story, is the blockade begins 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But
I don't know why the idea of like a commander of an aircraft carrier oversleeping and missing it just strikes me as funny.
Yeah, so we ended up buying the NASDAQ here a little bit on this pullback. I just want to see if we run back up here to some of this higher range. It's a small position here, and we'll give it a little bit of time. Also, guys, if you haven't already, check out Apex. Still has their sale going on right now. I like Lucid as well. So I think they're both pretty useful. But you can use my coupon code BGT on all major ones. Tradeify, Lucid. Take Profit's the best for beginners, in my opinion. And so there's a lot of really good stuff. If you want to check out Apex, here is the link. You can find all the links in the description as well. Here's Apex. Again, they do have their 90% off sale still going on, I believe. And yeah, check them out. Here is the link. Great way to help support the channel. If you look at Apex, Apex has really redefined their rules. They have end-of-day drawdown options, no payout denials, no MAE rule, no 5-1 rule, built-in scaling, 50% consistency once you're funded. And these are some of the cheapest accounts in the game. Most day traders lose money. So again, guys, listen, don't get talked into funding your own account thousands of dollars trying to look cool, thinking you're going to get rich. Most day traders lose. I think the 50K end of day is the best one. It's 35 bucks, but cheapest accounts in the game right here for Apex. I'll put the link up. You can help support the channel here. We are in a small trade on our Apex funded account here. They are an affiliate of mine. I'm biased, of course, but genuinely useful. We got funded in this one last week, and yeah, this is an Apex funded account right here, so check them out. There's the link. Help support your boy here in this channel. BGT. Will it be on YouTube? I'm assuming you're talking about the 10 a.m. deadline. The market might react to whatever goes on at 10 o'clock, but we'll see.
Again, I'd be surprised if it didn't, but I've been surprised before.
Yeah, it depends on how much information we get at 10 o'clock. I think the reaction is going to be, I think there's still some people, and again, I'm not saying it's everybody, but I think there's still some people who think that we're going to get a deal done prior to the 10 a.m. deadline. And maybe some people think that's the president's goal. Not agreeing or disagreeing with it, guys. I just think some people might believe that. And so, all right, so we are very green on this. We did bounce almost exactly where I entered it here. I'm going to take half off here, or a third off, I mean, and then we'll leave the rest. I'm trying to see if there's any news pushing this here. Let me see if there's any stock price movement. NASDAQ's jumping. It's not really Amazon. Nvidia's bouncing higher here. That's nice. I think it's just broad movement. Again, OpenAI execs tout the company's alliance with Amazon as a key key growth driver for its enterprise business. It did note Microsoft has, quote, limited our ability to reach clients. And this is all reported by CNBC. Okay. We're building a nice little cushion trade here. We're going to take another one off here. And we might add more to this as time goes on. But I think taking 2/3 off here, and now we have a nice cushion on the day. These are all tactical moves. Chopsticks, and if the fly comes back, you must use chopsticks.
That was funny.
Karate Kid reference here, man. I'm a big Karate Kid guy. I like the Karate Kid. I grew up on the Karate Kid movies.
Yeah, me too. Daniel LaRusso is the bad guy. I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone says.
He definitely is the villain, bro. He's messing with Johnny. Like, listen, Johnny comes out. This is exactly what Barney said on How I Met Your Mother. He's messing with Johnny. Yeah. You know, he moves to a new town, intervenes in you know, a couple's tiff about things.
Starts hitting on his girlfriend.
Right, starts hitting on the dude's girl. Doesn't understand why it's an issue, you know? He reads a bunch of karate books, and he thinks he's some type of, like, master. You know, he's reading karate books. He's looking at pictures. You know, you're not going to beat Johnny with that.
Yeah, well, and then he antagonizes him and physically confronts him on the beach, and then, like, then Johnny's supposed to be the bad guy for retaliating.
Right. Tries to play him in soccer, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm green on this trade. We'll see what happens. We're up to 150s here. 150 could reject us, but I'm going to leave this one. Wait, what? All right, guys, NASDAQ is higher.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. NASDAQ is over 150s now. Let's see if it can continue. We are filling some of this gap. I'm trying to look at the stocks. Nvidia's moving up a little bit short term. Microsoft's starting to rebound. Let's look at the Dow. What's the Dow doing? The Dow is still pretty low. Goldman Sachs hasn't really moved after its bad earnings reaction. Yeah, I'm watching Goldman Sachs. Look at this drop show up here. I'm looking at markets as well, though. Let's see if we got any breaking news. The biggest news we got a couple different things, but the Amazon Alliance memo. I'll hold this break even, though, and we're in this. We can look at Amazon. We can look at Microsoft. Microsoft kind of filled some of the downward move that it made from all of this. So Microsoft falling down some here. Again, maybe we'll add back to this on this dip. You know what? I think we will. We'll just give ourselves a little bit tighter of a risk here. See if we rebound back up.
You just have a feeling about it.
Markets don't care. Yeah, I mean, I try to add on pullbacks like this because it gives us a little bit better spread. If I add way up here, then it's going to make my entry price jump up a little bit too much. And so I try to add on these little dips and then just keep a tight risk underneath this here. We're going to make money on this trade no matter what. Not unless, like, the, you know, worst case scenario happens, which, you know, it's not going to. But yeah. We're going to make money on the trade. And we have a nice little cushion on the day that we can play with here. Yeah, I see the Roblox news. All right, so there we did get a nice little jump here. Look at that. I think I will take this piece off immediately here. And so we use that, and now we'll just hold it break even again. So kind of slowly moving up our entry. We did get a bounce exactly where we pulled back, so that's nice. There we go. Nice. I'm going to cut this right here. And then maybe we'll reestablish an entry. But not bad. Not bad. Green is good.
HORMUZ 2 was your Mr. Miyagi.
Who? Oh. I don't know, man.
I think John was kind of his own Miyagi.
That's right. I would say that's true. You know. I would say the greatest hero in my life is myself. You know.
You believe in you, huh?
Yeah, yeah. The greatest hero in my life. That's me. You know. I just gave myself so much wisdom along the way.
That is so ridiculous.
All right, so look, we did get news just now that Iran is willing to continue discussions with the U.S. according to an envoy. Well, yeah, they're going to continue discussions. NASDAQ is looking a little bit more optimistic. Let's take a look at oil here. Here's oil. Oil down to 103. So oil dipping down slightly here, but not a crazy amount. But oil is falling down some. Let's see if I can get more information on this. No, I don't really have much. Just that Iran is willing to continue discussions with the U.S. Says the envoy. I mean, clearly, I don't think Iran wants this blockade to happen. I don't think they want this conflict to happen like this. Not talking about the broader conflict, but talking about this specific conflict that's supposed to happen today at 10 a.m. And again, like I said, a lot of people are saying this is the president's goal in all of this anyway. Again, NASDAQ up to 25,170. So the NASDAQ is rebounding here as well. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft's starting to follow through. Amazon's still up from the news about OpenAI. The Dow is starting to bounce back higher here as well. Let's take a look at Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is still down there pretty much. But we are seeing a rise. Look at this V-shape move here. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin's not up that much. But maybe this news about Iran causing some optimism here in markets. I do see Nvidia start to rise, CoreWeave start to rise. Microsoft filling some of the drop. Google rising some here. Hey, what's up, Fibby? I still gotta send you that email, brother. Sorry, dude. I've had sports. It's been hectic, but I would love for you to come on the stream one day, Fibby.
Can't see the time frame on the graph.
This is a 1 minute chart just because I'm day trading it.
Okay.
So this is basically the pre-market action that we've seen. Like this is from this square is basically up until 4:20 our time.
Okay.
So it's basically the last 3.5 hours. Yeah, CoreWeave meta deal is something for sure.
Dude, don't talk about bacon and eggs unless you're making enough for the whole class, please. Come on, man.
Yeah, the 10 a.m. news is going to be the big one. Let's see if that blockade ends up following through. I'm going to be watching at that period of time for like tweets for sure. Like I want to see if the president starts tweeting about the blockade being started, essentially. I think if he does say it's happening, then obviously markets might not like that and markets might go down. Oil might spike. And so we're going to be paying attention to 10 o'clock today. We still have 40 minutes into the opening bell, though, so we'll see what we get.
Out of curiosity,
Go ahead.
What did Nvidia close out at on Friday?
Nvidia 188. It's at 186 now, so it's gapping down some from this.
Okay.
So yeah. It negatively reacted basically to this.
Okay.
You know. So most things are going to gap down, though. More escalation. The way the market's been moving recently is that markets go down, oil goes up as more escalation happens, right? So the more escalation there is over the weekend, generally speaking, markets move down, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, markets move down, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow move down, oil opens higher. Is usually what we get. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that's something that we do see. It's just basically oil goes down, markets move up. And if there's de-escalation, markets move down, oil moves up. If there's worse escalating news, like a deal doesn't go through over the weekend, like this weekend, oil opened up much higher, NASDAQ opened up much lower. And, you know, we also see that reflected in the most heavily weighted stocks in the stock market. So Nvidia, you know, Apple, Meta, Amazon, Google, you know, most of these opened up red just from everything going on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting day. Why did the chat stop here?
That's what I was curious about.
Do you see the chat stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, it stopped for me too, dude. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, the last comment I see is Femi.
Right, me too. Chat. Okay, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
I did not watch that.
I didn't, but I listened to coverage of it. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, according to Morgan Stanley, the S&P 500 correction is nearly over. Morgan Stanley turns cautiously bullish, saying markets have largely priced in recent risks. Michael Wilson notes the S&P has rebounded 7% from lows. Okay, yeah, so it works. All right, cool.
Yeah, thanks for the response, chat.
Look at all the tests going on.
Yeah, I see that.
You called? Lurkers unite here. Wake up. I know we got some people here that never say anything and just listen to this beautiful voice every day. Just know I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you. You might not talk. Nobody might ever hear from you here. You know, you might not add to our conversation, but I appreciate you guys here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've been told I've got a face for radio, you know?
You do. You definitely do. Hey, thank you, Ian. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. I lurk at work. I can appreciate that. Yeah. Lurkers unite. That's what I'm saying. Y'all better wake up. Anyways, guys, we got 30 minutes until the market opens here. Oil is coming back down slightly. Not a big move. We've had one green trade. And again, you can kind of see the NASDAQ here. Look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ at 25, 160s. What's up, Lee? I can respect it, Hanson. You know?
Every time I see Hanson, I just think of Hansel for some reason. Like,
no, I think of Bop. You know, I grew up in the 90s, dude.
Just think of Hansel. He's so hot right now.
Out here thinking about
Zoolander.
Zoolander, yeah. Yeah. Ooh. All right, guys.
I'm really curious as to what the opening bell is going to show.
Yeah, the NASDAQ's kind of quieting down a little bit here. We had this big rebound, though. I think once we got past this volume, we had like a low volume area. Here's a little bit higher volume. So... What is this, a center for ants?
I love that line so much. Building needs to be at least 3 times this big.
That's a great movie. The second one's ridiculous, but it's still good. It's still good.
It is, but the first one is just eminently quotable.
Yeah, no, 100%. What do you guys think about Michael Saylor buying almost $1 billion more Bitcoin? JP Morgan is also saying buy the dip, V-shaped rebound is likely. JP Morgan Chase investors say you should buy market pullbacks, arguing conditions support another V-shaped recovery despite geopolitical risks. You guys agree with that? Nvidia is still pushing higher here, so it looks like the NASDAQ is getting a little bit more control here on the upside. Uh, and we speaking of V-shape recoveries, we have a V-shape right now. Like, you can gotta see the V-shape here. Who thinks Bitcoin will reach 50K? Does Bitcoin hit 50 or 150 first? Let me know. He's nuts.
I'm not even gonna guess at that.
We are coming into that resistance area though. Yeah, again, we have this 25,000 level below us that I'm looking at. Above us though, this level is kind of what's moving things. This area here, you can kind of see it's kind of the isolated high. We have this upwick here that is at 195 around 200, so I am looking for that as well. But I think we could also have just a large range, you know, heading into everything. I think we just have a big range here. And so we're watching for it, but we'll see what this ends up doing. Oil's starting to rebound higher here, though. Let's see if we got any breaking news. Oil's at 103.80s. And I'm curious to see if we get some unlocked volatility at the opening bell and markets just pricing that in. I do see the NASDAQ start to dip here with oil starting to rise. So potentially more escalating things going on. One bank say buy the dip and you do it, you're the liquidity. Yeah, I always take the mindset of watch what the banks do, not what they say. And I think that's the smarter mindset. We also have Fitch, which is a rating agency, say European defense sector growth since 2022 should continue. Annual double-digit order growth expected through at least 2030. Yeah, Leo. We'll see, brother. 59K. Yeah, speaking of Bitcoin has not rebounded as much with everything else. I mean, there's a 15-minute chart, though. You look at a 1-minute chart, I guess it has gone back up some. It's over 71,000, which is good. But the NASDAQ is basically chopped completely sideways here. Completely sideways. If the war ends and we get quantitative easing, we might get to 150. But if we continue hearing bad news on a monthly basis, support levels will most likely break. 50K is probably the strongest support level. Yeah, big psychological level, and I generally agree with that. I think it depends on, obviously, it depends on what happens here. But I generally agree with that. I think, yeah.
Sorry, could you repeat what you said about European defense spending? What'd you say about that?
European defense sector growth since 2022 should continue according to Fitch. Annual double-digit order growth expected.
Okay.
Russia evacuates most of its staff from the Bushehr nuclear plant as well.
Oh, that's probably not a good sign.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to talk about, though, was the comment here by Guitar. He said, if the war ends and we get quantitative easing, so if the war ends and we get, like, a hyper-focus on weak jobs to a point where we print money, obviously Bitcoin wants easing and printing. So maybe that's a situation in which we might see higher Bitcoin price if we start to ease, if the Federal Reserve starts to ease more aggressively. If the conflict drags on and we continue to get just more fear and uncertainty in regards to inflation, obviously there's more risks, and I think Bitcoin might not behave super positively in that regard, in that context here. So,
out of curiosity, why specifically Bitcoin?
Well, Bitcoin wants easing because it causes inflation and people, and that pushes the price higher. So Bitcoins always want easing. So Bitcoins wants low interest rates. They want printing for sure. It just drags the prices of everything higher, not just Bitcoin, but everything in general.
Okay, I thought you were saying that it would be concentrated in Bitcoin.
Well, generally speaking, the more we ease, the more it pushes price or high. So the more the Federal Reserve eases in terms of interest rates and prints, the more expensive everything gets, including stocks a lot of the time, including Bitcoin. And that's the logic of it. So there's 9 o'clock right now. So there's 9 a.m. We're up to about 175 here in the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ has been in this choppy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 minutes. The NASDAQ has basically been completely sideways. Look at this range over the last 14 minutes. And again, I'm wondering if this is markets just waiting for the I'm wondering if this is
Kinda
just
kind of like they're holding their breath.
yeah, waiting for some of this shocks. Yeah, so again, we'll see what happens, but it's kind of a scary time for markets. But yeah, the blockade begins in Hormuz at 10 a.m. apparently. So as we get closer to that, we are now 59 minutes away from that. Here, let me do a poll actually. Or actually no, let me.
I need more people to smash the like button.
Yeah, do it now. Do it now. Hit the subscribe button as well.
Yeah, please. Like, I'm not too good. I'm not too proud to beg. Help us out.
Yeah, do it now. Yeah, it's Microsoft bouncing back up here. So here's oil. Oil starting to fall. Microsoft is starting to rip back up here. This looks catalyst driven though. Let's make sure. But this looks catalyst driven for Microsoft. Look at Microsoft jump here, guys. Wow. Now remember, Microsoft reacted negatively after OpenAI said that they're hurting customer acquisition, essentially. Let's see if we... Yeah, I'm trying to see if markets are going to hold here. If anybody sees why Microsoft jumping up this much, let me know. Let me see if Nvidia's not doing it. So this looks just Microsoft related. Amazon. Microsoft plots new Copilot features inspired by OpenClaw, according to the information. It's potentially what this is. I don't see any other news. Hey, Britt, speak.
Test. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. Okay, I wanted to make sure because I muted notifications so that the notifications wouldn't keep breaking through. Yeah, so Microsoft apparently released a new AI model, is what some people are saying. It's hard to tell whether this is accurate, but apparently Microsoft released another AI model. They're up to 371s. So a new Copilot feature inspired by OpenClaw. So it looks like the information published a report about a new Copilot feature from Microsoft. Yeah, new Copilot feature inspired by OpenClaw is the news pushing Microsoft higher. So a new AI feature from Microsoft is what's making it jump.
What's a Copilot feature? I mean, I understand the word, but
it's an AI
implication.
Feature. Yeah, Copilot is basically their AI assistant. And so a new feature there is like a new AI feature for them.
Okay, I didn't realize Copilot was the name of their AI.
Yeah. Well, it's not the name of their AI. It's really ChatGPT, I think, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So it's basically... It's actually not ChatGPT, but it's their... Yeah.
Okay.
It does some stuff with ChatGPT, just not all of it.
Gotcha.
Like I said, I don't use ChatGPT or Copilot a lot. I use Claude. I use Perplexity.
Less confirmation bias in those platforms.
Just more accuracy. More accuracy, less confirmation bias is a good way to put it. They're just more accurate. They're more accurate in their stuff.
Yeah. Check out the crypto rave.
Yeah, Claude's great. I like Claude a lot. All right, guys. So again, we have 25 minutes until the opening bell. 25 minutes. The HORMUZ blockade. Again, 10 a.m. We'll see if that influences things. But the HORMUZ blockade does happen at 10 o'clock today. We'll see if it holds, but the HORMUZ blockade, 10 o'clock today. I'll put a timer up right now. I gotta reduce this size a little bit. That's in about 54 minutes. Yeah, that's about right. About 55. But yeah, that's about right. What? Yeah. Here, I'll put the timer up. There we go. 54 minutes here. You can see it right here. NASDAQ is kind of flat here. I'm wondering what's going to happen at the opening bell, if we're going to get volatility unlocked around the open. But, yeah. Let's do another poll today. Are you bullish or bearish for today's opening bell here, guys? So looking at our poll originally, do we get rate cuts this year? 56% say no. 44% say yes. So honestly, more split than I thought we would be in terms of rates. Are you bullish or bearish for the opening bell?
Bearish? Question mark.
Yeah. It's a rough read this AM. I'm thinking bear, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, we filled a lot of this gap. So again, we opened up red like most people expected us to. But, you know, and if you look at the broader, like, here's a 5-minute chart. Like, we opened up pretty red, obviously, from last week. So here's where we closed last week. We closed way up here. We opened up all the way down here. But we kind of rebounded back up here. So we didn't stay down. So here's the Sunday open right here. And we ended up basically starting to head back up. And we've gotten noticeably higher here. We have gotten noticeably higher. Yeah, people are talking about Rave Crypto. Went from 2 to 10 yesterday morning. But the point is, we have filled a lot of this gap. We're still red from where we closed Sunday, which is way up here on the NASDAQ. We were at 330 or so when we closed on Friday, I mean. And now we're back up to we're back down to 170. Although, again, we have gone up some. We'll see if this holds. Heading into the opening bell, I'm wondering if this big push we've made, you know, this big V shape that we've made leading into the opening bell holds. You know, that's the big question mark, is does this big push hold? And I'm not sure. We are going to be live trading the opening bell, guys, so stick around. Yeah, we are going to be live trading.
I think it does not hold. But that's purely speculative, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unreasonable, I think, to bet that. Still hearing a little bit of kickback from you, Brett.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I don't think there's anything I can really do about it. Just let me know if it goes away.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
I'm going to mute it for now, though.
Okay. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, a lot of these are simulated. All right, guys. So again, the NASDAQ starting to dip down. We're at 165s. Speaking of this here, we are starting to get a turn back down here. I'm gonna look at news to see if there's any catalyst for this. But we are starting to fall down. HORMUZ blockade raises oil and growth risks. This is one of those really obvious things. Bloomberg economists say a U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz would sharply reduce chances of a near-term diplomatic resolution and restoring oil flows. I mean, obviously, you know. Oh, so you're telling me military action there is going to cause uncertainty, guys? Shocker, you know.
Those two things have never been correlated.
You're telling me us blockading Hormuz is going to cause uncertainty? Man, who freaking knew? Bloomberg. Come on now. If Britt says it doesn't hold, that means we're buying. Yeah. Goldman Sachs looking good. Yeah, Goldman Sachs is what really drug the Dow down here. Here's GS. It's down to 870s here. Hey, what's up, Freddie? NASDAQ is starting to fall back down here. Look at the NASDAQ dip. Question is, do I buy this dip again? I bought it earlier. We made money on it. The question is, do we buy this again? I don't know here. Should I buy this dip, guys? Let me know. Look, I'm against
take the chance.
Smarter reason. I'm gonna ask the chat what they think I should do here. Last week, you guys don't have much credibility in my mind. What should I do here? Should I buy this dip? Chat?
Yeah, they spoiled that world-class awesome trade that you wanted to do last week.
Should I buy this dip, guys? Let me know. Should I buy this dip? No. Somebody says no. Negative. No. I don't think we've had one yes. It's going to go down. You guys know, if we end up pushing up, I will always make fun of you. Forever. Until the end of time. And honestly, so far, we have pushed up some. This is where I asked this question here. I'm just going to document this for research purposes.
It's got like 30 answers in a quarter of a second.
Everybody's saying no. So they say wait. I can respect wait. OG Wisdom says wait. I can respect wait.
See one yes.
I dare you to. Today's Monday. Sell it now.
I think the one yes is enough incentive. You should do it.
Yeah. 30 no's, one yes. I think, if the one yes is right, you know, everybody will cheer his name in the streets. We're at 168s right now. 168s. We have honestly bounced from where you guys said no. And we're heading up. We're at 170s now. Look. Okay. Y'all have lost all credibility here. All credibility. Out the window. You know?
Especially if they ruined it for you last week, too.
Look at this.
Up and up.
Naval blockade.
The record, I said do it.
Yeah. Should have listened to the robot. Again, look, man. Just to put this into perspective. Y'all said not to buy here. Chat just went 0-2. That's right. Shout out to the guy who said yes. Deb, if you said yes, I'll have to go back and check. CoreWeave is actually starting to jump up a little bit. Bitcoin's bouncing up. It's at 21.2s.
Whoever said yes is the greatest.
Right. At least short term. We might turn the other way, but short term.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, I was yelling bye while making eggs. Didn't you hear? Aren't you in Canada? I think I did hear you. I'm in Houston, but I heard it. Jim Cramer's in chat right now. Everyone's Jim Cramer's. Yeah, look, this is the chats. Chat short.
Jim Cramer versus Michael Berry. Who wins?
Michael Berry?
Like in trading, or is this like a celebrity deathmatch type thing?
I think they're talking about who's the most wrong.
Okay.
I'm in Canada. I'm a bullish bear. I respect that, GP. Who's more wrong, Jim Cramer or Michael Burry? Chat, let me know who you guys think. Dude, they really, y'all literally predicted the bottom here. Y'all literally predicted the bottom.
I just saw what you wrote on the screen.
Y'all literally called the bottom here. Cheers, chat. Y'all did it. Y'all did it.
I don't know why the messy writing makes it funnier, but it does.
I can't. Yeah. Kramer every time. CoreWeave's pushing up. Maybe that's part of this, but maybe we turn back down. We got 15 minutes into the opening bell here.
Cramer predict the crash?
No. I think Cramer was pretty bullish. We didn't crash either. Like, no, we haven't crashed. And the last thing you could argue was a crash was April of last year. What Trump called Liberation Day. It's basically when he implemented all the tariffs. Market dropped. I think the NASDAQ dropped like 26%. That could be considered at the very least a flash crash, right? Prior to that, the only crash we've really seen prior to that the crash is generally over 20% short term. The only crash that we could really consider prior to that was 2020 when all the craziness was going on and the market just dumped. Prior.
Well, forgive the.
Or go ahead.
I was just gonna say forgive the improper terminology. I just meant the what happened in 2007.
Oh, 2007. That was a recession. 2007 was a crash, but it was more of like a broader bear market as well.
Yeah. I just meant that's the event that I was referring to, like whatever terminology you want to use. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was Burr the only one who called it?
No. It was Burry. You ever see The Big Short, Britt?
Only once. Burry was the only one I really remember from the movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Burry got it right. But there was a handful of other people that shorted and got it right. It was Burry. I can't remember the real name of the fund. It was like Brown something fund or something like that. I don't think that's the real name. It really went by another name at the time. Okay. So it was those guys. There's a bunch of guys that called it, that could see it.
Okay. Was Steve Carell play him in the movie?
Steve Carell played not Burry. It was somebody else. The names are going, but he played somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, Burry basically went around to banks and said, hey, and created what's called derivative contracts. Short. Basically, like just like deals with the bank saying, hey, if we drop this much, you got to pay me this much. If we go up this much, I have to pay you this much, basically. And the premiums are what started eating Burry. Burry was really early at the time. And so people got really upset with him for risking their money in that way. But eventually, what Burry thought would happen happened, and the market just turned all the way back down. And ultimately they made so much money from it. But it got to a point where even Burry's friends didn't trust him. They sued him for restricting withdrawals from the fund in that time. And even though Burry ended up making a lot of money, it kind of hurt his relationships with friends and more. And that kind of explains why Burry is so bearish afterwards, right? He's very skeptical. He distrusts all systems basically since then. But he overpredicts crashes as well. And so Burry's good. I don't dislike Burry. I think he overpredicts crashes, but eventually you keep throwing darts at a dartboard, you're going to get one right. And I think that's, eventually Burry's going to be right about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, 12 minutes left until the opening bell, guys. 12 minutes.
I gotta say, me personally, like, even if I was mad at a friend of mine, if they made me a bunch of money in the end, I'd be perfectly willing to apologize.
Oh, dude, you make me 50 million. I'm gonna apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, so BlackRock is launching a new Bitcoin ETF, ticker BITA. It sells call options on its 50 billion plus IBIT fund to generate yield from Bitcoin's volatility. So the launch is expected in weeks, apparently. Market's getting a little numb to the headlines, though. I do like the nickname for Burry, Blurry. I do like that one. That's pretty good. Yeah, looking at our poll, we did a poll, bull or bear for the open.
The only Blurry I like is Puddle of Mud.
That's a good song.
Heck yeah, it was.
All right, guys, look, the chat is looking more wrong as time goes on.
You're never going to let it go, are you?
I mean, why would I? I wanted to buy here. The chat talked me out of it again. Maybe it's my fault. Fool me once. You fool me once, you can't get fooled again, guys.
That's the expression.
Yep. It's relevant here, man. Look at the NASDAQ pop. Wow.
Oh, goodness. What could be causing this?
Yeah, I'm looking at news, breaking news. Let's see if anything is causing this push.
The words of the great John Wooden, goodness gracious sakes alive.
Yeah, we're at 190 here at this pop. We're starting to test the top of this range now. I'm watching 200. The high of the day is 195. So the high of the day is 195.
Hope it's been a while, Vaughn.
We're still pushing up. I'm looking at 200 right here. Here's 200. Looking at that level. Let's see if that holds. Nvidia's moving up, Tesla's moving up, CoreWeave's moving up. So we do see some tech stocks increasing here. John, I dared you. That means yes. Yeah, but it wasn't a double dog dare. So it's not even valid, you know. We don't even listen to it. All right.
Double dog dare. I remember those days.
Yeah. Fake move, weak beginning is classic trap. Remember, we have PPI inflation data tomorrow as well. So PPI inflation does drop tomorrow. This is March data, which includes the inflationary aspects of the Iran conflict. So we do have PPI inflation data. CPI didn't move the market as much as I thought it would be. It did jump up high and it was super hot, but most people expected it to be, and so that data was already kind of priced in, so to speak, with that. Pullback incoming. Maybe. Listen, we're heading towards the opening, but we got 9 minutes until the open. We are day trading this live, and so we will see what we get. But the opening bell is here. The blockade is apparently supposed to begin at 10 a.m. So we'll see if that affects markets and oil. If we look at oil, oil's starting to fade down a little bit here. Not a crazy amount. Really, we're seeing tech rebound some today is part of the reason this is getting pushed up.
So pullback is a drop from an upward push, just to be clear.
A pullback is just like a, yeah, basically that's right.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you.
My ping pong nemesis right here. You know, I beat her the other day with my left hand. You know, really, it was my left hand. I tied all my fingers down. It was just my index finger, and I won. Ping pong. You know?
Hey, Maddie is the greatest. Okay, I don't care what you say. She's going to be the champ.
You know, she knows. Love you. Have a good day. Yeah, the story gets a little bit more exaggerated every time.
I heard you were blindfolded, actually, when you did it.
I was. You know, I was like Zorro, but I couldn't actually see. I was like the guy from what's the movie, Dinner for Schmucks. I was that guy. You know.
Or Vince Vaughn at the end of Dodgeball.
Yeah, that's right. You know, allegedly. All right, guys. So look, the Nasdaq is pushing towards highs of the day here. The highs of the day are 195. So highs of the day are 195. Nasdaq is getting very, very close to that now. We have 6 minutes left until the market opens. 6 minutes. Yeah, legend has it he used his big toe. I did use my big toe, blindfolded. Taco Monday? We'll see. We're heading into the 10 a.m. deadline for the blockade. So Nasdaq just tapped highs, broke highs actually. So the Nasdaq did just break highs of the day here. We're up to 198. 200 is a level here, though. That's the only thing I'm nervous about. Yeah, so Iran's ambassador to India announced that Tehran is ready to negotiate with the U.S. provided that Washington refrains from its plans of illegal demands. Yeah, but there's a disconnect here, is what I'm seeing here. Like, yeah, they want to get a deal done so that we, you know, so the blockade doesn't happen. The problem is that there's still two major disagreements, and these disagreements have been going on since prior to this conflict starting. Again, I'm going to go back on this, or I'm going to go back and restate this. Prior to this conflict starting, the U.S. met with Iran multiple different times. And essentially, we kind of went back and forth with Iran. The big breaking point in the talks was that we were like, hey, Iran, you can't enrich. And Iran was basically like, we're going to enrich. You can babysit us, but we're going to enrich. Okay? And eventually, both sides just went back because they couldn't come to an agreement there, and then this conflict started. And so that is the real issue here. That's the real breaking point, is if we still can't agree to that, this is going to keep happening. This is going to keep happening. Both sides want to negotiate, sure, but there needs to be some agreement on the enrichment process. And that's what we're not seeing. Anyways, the NASDAQ is starting to jump here. NASDAQ did break highs again. 204 is the new high of the day. Oil's not really moving, though, so I think this is more just tech-based movements, although NVIDIA did just pull back. But we are heading into the opening bell in 4.5 minutes. Yeah, somebody's going to have to make a compromise in yield. But again, we are pushing up here. New high of the day is 209 on the NASDAQ here. New high of the day is 209 right now in the NASDAQ. Let's see if we hold.
I think people forget that, I mean, like, you know, all the other points of contention aside, that was the key point of contention. It's the biggest problem we had. And so, like, unless that's solved, we're not going to get a deal, I don't think.
Exactly. All right, guys, here we go. Bull or bear for the opening bell. We have 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left. We are green on the day. So we are green so far today. Yeah. Let's see what happens. NASDAQ did break highs of the day just now. New highs of the day are right around 210, 209, 210 on the NASDAQ. Let's see what we get here, guys. But again, the HORMUZ blockade is supposed to begin at 10 o'clock today. 10 o'clock. Again, we did see Iran's ambassador to India announce that Tehran is ready to negotiate with the U.S., provided that Washington refrains from its plans of, quote, illegal demands, end quote. Which I'm assuming they're talking about the enrichment aspect of it. Or, you know, controlling the strait, but probably both, realistically.
I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah, and maybe that's why markets are moving up short term. I'm not the most optimistic here, though. I'm not the most optimistic. We'll see how the market behaves after the opening bell here, but it's been a little crazy over the weekend. Bitcoin reacted negatively. NASDAQ reacting negatively. Oil pushed higher. And so there's a lot of fear and worries about everything going on. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Will we get a delayed response at the opening bell here, guys? Will we?
Either direction?
Yeah. I mean, I think when I mean delayed response, I just mean a downward move.
Oh, okay. Then I think yes.
But we can also go up. So looking at it, I asked people bull or bear. I think Black Monday. Ooh, I don't know, man. I think if we follow through with the blockade, we could see bearishness. And again, maybe this is just a bargaining point by the president saying, hey, you got to get a deal done by 10. And then maybe it forces Iran to reach out to us and get some type of compromise done. Could be the plan here. We'll see.
I don't think I'd take it as far as Black Monday, though.
No, not really. I mean, maybe. You never freaking know. But yeah, one of the things that's objectively true is that the market wildly overpredicts crashes. So we're up to 211s now. We broke highs just before the opening bell. We have a minute and a half left. But yeah, one of the objectively true things is that the market generally overpredicts crashes, including the chat. And so we'll see. Hey, dude. Hey, Jack. Tell me if this is true or not. Didn't I beat Maddie at ping pong blindfolded with just my left hand?
And big toe.
You're supposed to side with me, dude. He said yes. Just for everybody at home. I love you, dude. Great. Have a good day, dude. You're supposed to pump me up here, bro. You're supposed to pump me up. Give you an allowance? Look, dude, I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not doing that. Smart move, but it ain't happening, dude.
Hey, it was a good try, though.
It was a good try. I can't even be mad at it, really. All right, so I'm seeing that Pakistan's defense minister said the prospect of resuming negotiations between the U.S. and Iran still exists, and a new round of talks will begin soon, according to CCTV. Yeah, he hit me with "Give me $10."
I gotta say though, where's the dude loyalty? You know?
No, dude, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting to be like, yeah, that did happen. Nope. All right, guys, 20 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Tesla just went green on the day. Nvidia's moving up a little bit. We're at 213s right now. 213s. BJ, pay the man. I know, brother. I know, man. If you're good at something, don't do it for free. Yeah. Always charge for your services, my son says now. 350 up there. 350 on Tesla. Man, chat. Again, look, here's the opening bell. Y'all called the bottom here. Y'all called the bottom. There's the open. NASDAQ ripping higher here, dude. I'm just going to pretend I would have held it this long if I wouldn't have listened to chat. But man, look at this move at the opening bell here, guys. So the NASDAQ is pushing higher. It got up to 240 basically right now. 240 on the NASDAQ. Let's see.
I'm enough man to admit I was totally wrong.
Well, it's a little early, honestly. It's still early. We'll see what happens in the next 30 minutes, but we're still pretty freaking early, honestly. Oil is not really going down much. So I honestly think this pop higher here is just based off of Goldman Sachs moving up a little bit, filling some of the gap. Nvidia moving up a little bit. Amazon moving up a little bit. Alphabet moving higher here. So I think a lot of this is just tech rebounding. Oil's not heading down as much as you might think. It is down a little bit, but market moving up is not correlating necessarily with like super big decreases to the price of oil. We'll watch Nvidia though here. This could come all the way back down at the open. We'll see. Is it a bull trap? Bond market is getting hammered. Top 3 extortionists. Sure, bro. I'll say whatever you need for the right price. A true politician, my son is. We're at 220 right now. 220. I'm cashed out on this one. All into oil. Yeah.
We'll see.
I was just gonna say, I think what we have to do here is we need to watch geopolitical updates. Because again, I think there's a good chance that the president, similar to his last deadline for 8 o'clock was it Wednesday? Leading into that deadline, the U.S.-Iran announced a ceasefire. And so I think we have to watch this leading into the 10 a.m. deadline for the blockade to see if we get, and we're starting to hear some more optimistic things from Iran and others regarding the U.S. continuing talks with them. And so we'll see if, again, the big question is, does Trump back out here? And I don't know.
I still say no.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Does the president back out of the blockade announcement for 10 o'clock today? That's supposed to start at 10 a.m. today. Yeah, and Qatar, their foreign minister advises Iran to keep waterways open and not use them as a tool for pressure. UK MTO says access restrictions being enforced on Iranian ports. All right, so I'm looking at the poll. We asked people, does the president back out here? No, taco, which is yes. Watch oil price go down in 28 minutes.
I think even if he wanted to, he couldn't afford to. Not on this particular issue.
I don't know, man. All right, so here's the Nasdaq starting to dip back down. I think it's possible. Yeah, I think it's possible. Do I buy this dip now, chat? I'm not buying it. That's a big red candle. I think it's possible. We'll see. We'll see. Nothing's set in stone, but I think it's possible.
I think whatever the chat says, you should just do the opposite this time and see what happens.
I think so as well, to be honest here, guys. I think so as well. He'll taco next week when it comes to the ceasefire, but not the blockade.
That's a possibility, too.
Yeah. All right, look at the Nasdaq start to come down here. Is oil jumping? Slightly. Not a crazy amount, but it's heading up a little bit. Here's the high volume area. I'm looking at maybe a 180 dip. But what are we, 3 minutes into the day? We are green on the day here in this account.
The greatest.
Inverse chat is like inverse Cramer. Just know I appreciate you guys. I mean, y'all literally called this bottom here. But it's alright. See about any other breaking news. We will be trading here. I wanted to buy 180s. We dipped to 1,895, so we didn't quite get down there. The bulls look like they're in control right now, though. Look at the big pop up here. So we are getting some movement higher. Also, we see House Democrats are planning to force a new Iran war powers vote on Thursday, according to Politico. So still bullish since the opening bell. See if the bulls hold. Bulls are here. Bulls have. If you look at a 15-minute chart, though, you can kind of see we're starting to kind of essentially fill this gap. So, like, here's the gap down we made into Sunday's open here, down here, and now we're kind of filling the gap to the upside. We're running into the gap being completely filled, though, right around the highs of the day here. So, that is a level that you can see. This 240 level is right where the gap from the drop overnight is essentially filling here. And so here's the range of the day, essentially right here. And so we are at the top of the range. Okay, so UK MTO says it has been informed that effective from 1400 UTC on Monday, maritime access restrictions are being enforced affecting Iranian ports and coastal areas. They say restrictions include Arabian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, and the Arabian Sea east of the Strait. All right, look at this drop here, though. We are going to look for an opening range breakout potentially here because the opening range is very small right now. Here's the opening range so far in the first 6 minutes of the day. So that's the opening range. I need to let it set up a little bit more. All right, look at this dip. So we broke out of the 5-minute range here. We're under 200s now. If we get down to like 180s, maybe I'll buy the dip. But markets are starting to turn.
Really starting to correct down.
Yeah, I'm going to buy one contract here and then add to it if it goes in my favor. That way we're not taking too much risk. I wanted 180s. We're really right at that level now. But it's very small. And if this doesn't turn out well, we're just going to cut it. I'm not going to add to this. We did get a pop higher here, but the momentum's a little sketchy. Okay, we're green now. We'll let it hold. There we go. Very small trade, but hey, green is good. All right. I'll get a little time here. We can hold it break even now. I'm going to add to this on this little pullback here. See if we can get up enough to take half off in the profits. We've already got a very big cushion on the day, though, so it doesn't matter too much here. But I believe we can continue higher. It just depends. There we go. All right, I'm going to take half off there. And we'll hold the rest break even. But that way we can give it time to run. I'm going to cut it right there about flat. So we did make money on that trade. We might buy a little dip here now, though. We'll see. There's a lot of news coming out, though.
You think we'll find out, I mean, like right at 10 o'clock, whether or not Blockade went through?
I think we're... I'm watching... If we don't hear any news by 10 o'clock, I'm assuming it did. I don't know if we're going to get a news... I think it's going to be the opposite. I think it might be a situation... And chat, let me know if you guys agree with this, but I think it might be a situation in which we hear something if it does not go through, and sometimes, you know, if they get some type of de-escalation done before then, I think we'll hear from that. I think if we don't hear anything by 10, then we can just assume it went through.
Yeah, probably. At least possibly.
We have one contract. Yeah, it's small. We haven't had any losing trades today, though. And so I know it might not be the most fun thing to watch, me sitting around waiting for trades, but I think sometimes you got to be selective with this type of stuff. I think some people just take trades to make their chat happy. I'm just trying to take good trades, to be honest here.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, you know, 60% of the time it works every time.
It does. That's right. Yeah, so U.S. naval blockade of all ships entering or exiting Iranian ports is scheduled to begin at 10 o'clock today. Oh, I know, Max. I know. Again, you want to help support the channel, check out Tradeify. You can check out Lucid as well. I probably use Lucid more than all of them, to be honest here. And again, Lucid's got some great stuff. Like, I think Lucid is the best mix. But but I think they're all good for different things. Apex is good if you want cheap accounts, and they've recently updated better rules. Lucid is good because I did a withdrawal from Lucid, a payout with Lucid. They processed it in 1 minute last week. 1 minute. 60 million plus users, 60 million paid, 50,000 plus. Average payout time is 15 minutes. Again, mine was in 1 minute. Again, 90-10 split, good split, no payout windows, clear and simple rules. You can micro scale 10 to 1, which is what I like it for. End of day drawdowns, no hard breach rules, and more on Lucid. And so again, if you want to check out Lucid, I'll put this link up. Just useful, guys, just useful, I think.
Obviously, I understand the words themselves, but what is micro scaling in regards to trading?
It means you can scale in with micro contracts. There's Lucid's link right there if you want to check it out. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. You can check out Apex. You can use BGT on most major ones. Great way to help support our content. We just try to, we trade live. We give people news, all that good stuff. How would the blockade affect oil stocks? I mean, originally it'll probably be seen as escalation. And so I think that's probably the initial response, but we'll see. We have 20 minutes until it's supposed to begin, so. Yeah. I'm still tempted to buy this dip though, although the only reason I might not like it now is because this is kind of turned into a higher volume area here, which essentially what it means is we could just chop like this for a little while. Although this bottom low here does look interesting for a push up, but I think I'm just going to wait now.
Sorry.
Yeah, look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA at 187s, almost 186. So NVIDIA is part of the reason this move is happening here.
A small bounce back up for NVIDIA then.
Yeah. Yeah, but NVIDIA now dipping down heavily. You can kind of see the NASDAQ start to come down some with this. So the NASDAQ starting to dip. We'll see if it continues to hold. What kind of quality, though, Nick? What kind of quality? I need more NVIDIA. Yeah, so NVIDIA down to 186. Incoming FOMO. Yeah, I mean, look, I've already made money today a couple different times. And so I don't need to push trades right now. We're just looking to find high percentage trades. And so right now, I don't know. I think I gotta just chill and wait. Oil's not really doing anything either. Oil slowed down. The NASDAQ's starting to move a little higher here on NVIDIA's slight upward trend since the opening bell. CoreWeave has been pushing, though. CoreWeave's at 108 right now.
Up from what on the day?
CoreWeave opened at right around, or closed yesterday at 102.
Okay.
So it's at 108. It's a decent percentage, whatever that percentage is. Yeah, 6% or whatever that is. So. John, I'm seeing a lot of analysts calling for 60 to 80% drop on Tesla from here. I don't know. It depends on how well Tesla executes AI and robotics. Them pivoting away from cars. A lot of people criticize their car business because the margins weren't great, and so, and they were a multi-billion dollar company and their EPS was like 30 cents or whatever. So, I think it's bigger risk, bigger reward potentially with regards to Tesla.
Do you have any idea what the reason was for that, or not really? I mean,
what, the pivot away from cars?
No, not the pivot, just the fact that their stocks underperformed compared to other car companies.
Well, Tesla stock is just volatile. Look at that. Hold on. The NASDAQ is now dipping down some here. Look at the NASDAQ fall. It's at 180s now. I want to make sure there's no breaking news. ECB's member speaking here. I don't think that's what's driving this. He said energy prices show we are currently closest to the ECB basic scenario. This is the volume profile, Adrian. So.
What's ECB?
ECB is the European Central Bank.
Okay.
So look, we're down to 170s now, down to 170s. Again, the blockade is supposed to begin at 10 o'clock today. Now that we're 15 minutes into that, we'll see if that's what we get here. So new EU competition official Whelan will hold the line on the big tech dispute despite pressure from the president. Again, the Pakistani prime minister says the U.S.-Iran ceasefire is in place and they are trying to resolve issues between the U.S. and Iran. But the NASDAQ is still coming down. Yeah, here's the volume profile. This is we have some people asking about this here.
At least we seem to have 2 or 3 earnest intermediaries in this whole process.
Yeah. No, for sure. And look, so we're heading into this little high volume node area, and we are bouncing a little bit around the spot. We also have the 200 exponential, not super low behind, underneath us. Yeah, but Nick, I think, you know, you got to understand, there's some people that might, while I might understand the market, there's some people that don't, and they might be tuning into a channel called Beginner Trading, you know? So, like, I don't think Brit asking questions is bad. I think it's good. Honestly, I think it helps certain people that might not understand all the stuff I'm talking about understand things a little bit more, you know? Right, exactly, Pew. That's right. Yeah, because you got to understand, you might understand all the stuff going on that I'm talking about, but other people might not, and I think it gives a good kind of side educational thing. You know? Yeah, so we're still dropping back down here. So we're back under that lower or that high volume node. Also, Bank of America Global Research cuts NXP Semiconductors to neutral from a buy rating. Now we're starting to dip down here, chat. So Nvidia is also, you know, dipped down to the 200 exponential. Yeah, please explain as much as possible. Yeah, all good, Jeremiah. That's kind of what we're here for. All it takes is one tweet. His questions are good. Yeah. All right, look at that bounce here, though. So we just did bounce back higher here. We have 11 or 12 minutes until this blockade thing is supposed to end. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Low volume bounce. Oh, that's low, huh? Yeah, definitely. You know, look how low volume this is, guys. So we just popped all the way back up to highs. I want to see if there's any news here. Maybe news about a potential deal done. Iran talking about abandoning enrichment. Iranian officials are studying abandoning uranium enrichment as a condition for ending the war, according to the New York Post. Again, this is what's driving markets here. Look at this pop. Look at this move here.
It's true.
Wow, yeah, look at this move here. So again, this is the news. We're going to put it up in chat right now that's driving this.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that pop. So that's what's going on here. This is the news story right here. Iranian officials are studying abandoning uranium enrichment as U.S. condition for ending the war, according to a New York Post article here. We're up to 260s right now on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ did just fly higher here. The NASDAQ did just pop up 270s. Again, New York Post claims that Iranian officials are studying abandoning uranium enrichment as a condition for ending this conflict. So again, we are popping much higher here. Look at this green candle. Wow. Look at this move here, chat. Oil's dumping down here. If you look at oil, oil's falling. Look at the drop on oil. The NASDAQ is pushing higher here. Up to 280s right now on the NASDAQ. 25 280s. Remember, all-time highs on the NASDAQ are 26 400s roughly. So we're getting closer to those levels here. We're only about $1,000 away. But look at this big green pop here on the NASDAQ. S&P 500 is also moving higher here. Look at the ES. Big jump. Almost green on the day, so to speak. So almost green on the day. Do you guys trust this news? But again, markets are flying after the New York Post claims that Iranian officials are studying abandoning their enrichment as a U.S. condition for ending this conflict. S&P is flying higher here. The NASDAQ is flying higher here on this move. So, in chat, you guys called the bottom. The Dow pushing higher here. But look at the NASDAQ. So, very good news for markets. Oil's probably falling down now. After, again, apparently, the Iranian, there's some Iranian potential abandoning of enrichment is what's going on. Big pop up, 25,270s here, 25,270s. Do you guys believe this? Do you guys believe this?
I'd like to believe in the validity of the claim, but based on past evidence, I kind of doubt it. And even if they're talking about it, I mean, do they mean it?
Markets are believing it right now. I don't know. I think it's a good sign. If they're, I think if the New York Post reported this, there's probably a chance that it's true. I'm not saying it's true. But with the bigger the news organization, the less likely they are to say things that aren't, that might not actually be true. But the point is, with something like this, I hope it's true. I hope it's true.
I do too. While I do think it's a good sign, I just think you should take it with not you. I mean, everybody should take it with a grain of salt.
No, I agree. But yeah, again, guys, this is happening after the New York Post is claiming that Iranian officials are studying abandoning enrichment as a condition for ending the conflict here. Now, this is probably under pressure of the blockade. Tesla just flew higher here. It's at 350s. Nvidia is also at 187s right now. So Nvidia's higher. Microsoft's higher. I might buy this dip, but I think it's risky. But you know what? We'll try it. I think it's good news that I can piggyback off of it to a certain extent, but we're green on the day. We got a cushion on the day here, so. See if oil continues to fall. I'm going to leave this for a longer term trade. I think as long as Iran doesn't come out saying this isn't true. Also, U.S. and Iranian delegations reportedly agreed to hold another round of talks. The time and date is to be determined. Although I might take one of these off here while we retrace a little bit just to protect. See if we get a pop. Yeah, again, markets are up recently after New York Post is claiming that Iranian officials are studying abandoning enrichment as part of a deal, or as part of a condition for ending this conflict. All right, we're still very green on the day here. I do want to give this time to pop back higher here, though, but I'm not trusting it as much. There we go. That's better. That looks okay. Let's see if we continue. I'm going to take half off break even here, and then I'll be a little bit looser and maybe add back so that we're not losing too much on the trade net. It's the first loss we took today. We're still very green on the day, but I don't want to risk giving that green back. All right, we're now green. People are asking for the specific article here. I should have held this, to be honest, but that's all right. There we go. So the trade idea was right. I just managed this one wrong. That's okay. We've gotten to multiple green trades today. I'm going to add back on this little dip here, see if we get another pop back higher. There we go. Take half off there, lock it in. If you get even bigger move up. Yep. I'm going to cut it right there. So, all right, so far so good. We did net green on that trade, so we did end up green on total on the trade just now, and we're very green on the day also. But let's figure out what we want to do from here. I'm looking for the article now, but again, markets are up after Iranian officials are studying abandoning enrichment as a condition for ending the conflict, according to a New York Post article. Very interesting here. Where's your volume, John? What do you mean? You mean this volume right here? This is my volume profile right here. Let's see if this dip is valid. Yeah, so again, the blockade was supposed to start. Now we're getting potential news about Iranians abandoning their enrichment potentially here, is what they're considering.
Just a double check. You said New York Post or New York Times?
New York Post.
Okay, because I'm searching for it too. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, we have home sales data coming out. It's probably not going to move things, Jeremy, but we'll see. But we do have that data coming out. Again, I don't know how much it's going to move things, though. You know. All right, so we are jumping higher here. NVIDIA up to 187s, still pushing higher. Then we will get a pullback if price rises with volume. Misinformation Monday.
Yeah, I can't find it.
Yeah, again, it might not be an article. It might just be the New York Post coming out with that.
Yeah.
All right, so the New York Post also just said something else. They said, quote, Iranian delegation's inability to communicate with leadership in Tehran is one of the reasons for failure of the negotiations over the weekend. Again, New York Post. So again, the Iranian delegation's inability to communicate with leadership in Tehran is one of the reasons for failure of Islamabad negotiations. So that could be what's driving this here. Look, you can kind of see this right here. According to the New York Post. So if you look at this, this is something else driving markets here. CoreWeave is also still flying higher here. Microsoft's rebounding too, NVIDIA. So some of this is tech. Yeah, I mean, most major article news sources are going to be publishing the same stuff. You can see it on all these different ones. And again, we're at 272s right now, 272s. Tesla's starting to give some of it back, though, but...
Part of the delegation's inability... Go ahead.
Or no, go ahead.
I was going to say part of the delegation's inability to communicate. I mean, maybe because they have an uncertain power structure at this point, and then also, from what I read, they sent like 70 people to negotiate, and so I mean, like, who is supposed to communicate with the leadership program? I mean, like, is there one set group or one set leader of the delegation? You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of people to talk to.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we saw is that it was the parliament speaker for a long time, Galibaf, I think was his name. Mm-hmm. And so they were speaking with him. He was part of the reason at least he was one of the people announcing regarding the talks over the weekend. All right, guys, we have 1 minute left until 10 a.m. We'll see if the market jumps around 10 a.m. if we're going to get breaking news from this. So again, the 10 o'clock deadline for the blockade is about to be here. Let's see what happens. We have 1 minute. One minute. Yeah. What? All right, so we are pushing towards highs of the days. There's 300 here. Yeah, so again, we have the blockade news. We're over 300s now. We just broke highs of the day here. I'm sad to see if we have any other breaking news, but we did just break highs of the day just now at 10 o'clock. We also have existing home sales dropping as well. I don't think those are going to move markets at all, but we do have that data coming out today. Let's see. Again, we're up to 311s right now, 311s. In regards to the 10 a.m. data, existing home sales showed up 3.98 million, down 3.6%. 3.98 million, down 3.6% for the data that just released at 10. NASDAQ is pumping higher here, though. And again, this is when the blockade was supposed to be here. But again, apparently the U.S. military has officially begun its blockade The U.S. says the blockade will be enforced impartially against vessels of all nations, will not impede freedom of navigation in vessels. Prior to this blockade, ports were largely operational. So, the U.S. blockade should be in effect right now. And the NASDAQ is actually pushing higher here. Interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely not what I expected to happen, but I'm not unhappy about it.
Yeah, again, we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very short term so far, but
yeah, I think the news inflicting or affecting markets, regardless of the blockade, is about the potential abandoning of the enrichment by Iran. Tech is also, yeah, tech is also rebounding back up. So you see Microsoft here flying higher. You can see like Apple down, Amazon slightly green since the big drops it made earlier. Hold it down, Britt. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I said okay.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I'll be back.
Okay. So, what do you guys think? Are y'all optimistic about this new development? It's speak. I'm just curious if you guys are optimistic about the new development in terms of Iran potentially willing to discuss their enrichment program. I mean, just the fact that they're maybe willing to talk about it shows some promise to me. Like I said, I would take it all with a grain of salt. Okay, so seems like most people don't think there's much to it. What about muscle cars? I don't know. What about muscle cars? Use the whole shaker of salt. No, no, I'm not God. Just somebody on the stream. Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you guys. I would like to think that there's something to it, but just based on past happenings, I don't think so. Brett is AI. No, I'm not AI. I might be Batman. I mean, I wish I was Batman. That'd be super cool. But like Michael Keaton's Batman, not George Clooney's Batman. Nice Wizard of Oz reference there, Pawn. I always appreciate that movie. What I do for a living? Various things. You know, I've been a cook. I've worked in plants doing NDT testing, you know, non-destructive testing, eddy current, iris, that type of thing. Thickness testing. Okay, what's up?
Oh, what's up, guys? I'm back. All right, so
Okay.
Sorry, I had to pee, dude. I'm sorry. You know,
I don't believe you.
chat
I
might
don't believe
think
that you're sorry. I believe that you had to pee.
chat might think I'm a robot. I'm real.
No, I don't have a fancy setup like John's. Not yet, anyway. I'll probably develop that at some point.
Yeah, the NASDAQ is up to 25,300s here, 25,300. So the NASDAQ's still interpreting the potential abandoning of Iran's enrichment according to the New York Post, as bullish here, is what we're seeing. Turns green on the day as the blockade begins. John, that's exactly what a robot would say.
Am I the robot or is John the robot in this situation?
Who's your favorite robot, guys? Let me know right now. Inquiring minds.
Rosie from the Jetsons.
Yeah. Does this green hold today? You can see the previous closing price on the NASDAQ here. Here's NASDAQ futures previous close right here. This light blue line. We are essentially right at that level here. We're right around here. So I just want to point out also, guys, just, you know, completely non-relevant fact here. But the chat said don't buy it right here. Technically, it was right here, but just to really reinforce it. Chat said do not buy.
Oh, Inspector Gadget's more of a cyborg, in my opinion.
John, your stream is underrated for financial news. Hey, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. I'm gonna create an algorithm here, guys. It's gonna be really legitimate, really professional, and its job is just to read the chat's predictions and alert the opposite way. We've done extensive research about 2 times in the last week that this has happened, you know. But here we are. We are back up to the previous closing price. We are green on the day as well. I don't know if we've had many red trades today. We are nicely green. The chat knew, but there's saboteurs in here. I believe that. I believe that too, man. I really do.
They've definitely established a pattern, at least. I mean, maybe not confirmed, but there's something to it.
Cheers to you. You know, 500,000 data points were collected in the research. Yeah. I'm a 15-year trader. Hey, thank you, Benny. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you guys. Really, I don't say it enough. Thank you guys, chat. Y'all are great for hanging out with me every day. It really is fun to do this. You know, like to sit here and talk about finance every day. I'm going to do this anyway. I might as well stream it and let you guys watch, you know, watch me. Sit here and do what I would do anyway. So I appreciate you guys.
Well, in fairness, you are riveting. You know?
I know. I believe that. I truly believe that.
John, you should sell courses under the alias of Johnny Appleseed Trading.
I think it would be better John Wick, like candle wicks. John Wick. You know, the chat has told me that one a couple times. You know, we'll see what happens. Maybe one day we'll turn into John Wicks. Holes are good as an indicator. Yeah, this is my son's cup. Look at this. You know, cheers to you guys. Have to love what you're doing. Yeah, we really do love what we're doing here, man. It's fun to do. Like I said, I do it anyway. Would I do it nearly as often? Probably not. But that's all right. Sue the New York Post. I mean, yeah, if we end up turning all the way back down the other way, I'm not saying sue them, but you could definitely be critical of them. NASDAQ went right up there to the previous closing price, so tapped it. And then now we'll see what happens.
On Ping Pong Wick.
Yeah, the blockade is here, guys. Blockade is here. Also, guys, like I said, if you haven't already, check out Apex. Apex is a great way to learn. Most day traders lose money. And so if you fund your own account thousands of dollars, you're probably just going to lose here. Like most day traders end up doing. Most day traders just lose money, guys. Regardless of where they go, what course they take, you're probably going to lose. Does it make any sense to fund your own account thousands of dollars? I don't think so. I think it's much better to try Apex. Again, Apex has a pretty legitimate sale going on. 90% off for the next 8 days. And they have end-of-day drawdown options. The account I've been trading on today is an Apex account. No payout denials, no MAE rule, no 5-1, built-in scaling, 50% consistency once you're funded. But again, you can get the cheapest account on Apex for $19.90 using my link. On this account, you got to make $1,500 without losing $1,000. It's a 2 to 3 ratio. Reasonable ratio, guys. That's a reasonable ratio. You make $1,500 without losing $1,000. they fund you 25K. I like the 50K option, the end of day trail, which is about 35 bucks. Yeah, about $35. I think that's the best bang for your buck. 50K funded. And so again, there's a lot of cool options. If you want to help support the channel, you can use coupon code BGT at all major prop firms. I appreciate the love. And again, we'll put this link up. You can help support your boy here in this channel. Here's the link. We will repin this one. Right, you scratch my back with headlines, I'll scratch yours with promo codes. I mean, listen, that's how it goes, you know. Big wick energy. Well. I like it.
What's oil at?
Oil.
If you don't mind.
Yeah. WTI crude is currently all the way down to 101 on this news about the Iranian potential abandoning of enrichment. So oil's down, NASDAQ is higher. So that's how you know this is a geopolitical driven news. Is oil falling down as much as it did. It's still elevated on the day and over since last week, but
yeah,
this news is seen as good, you know. I mentioned earlier in the chat 10 a.m. is super green. I'm not saying I'm a genius.
Well, I mean, I'll say it. John, you're a genius.
Let's look at 10 a.m. today, bro. So listen, so you're telling me you said super green here. Is that right? Listen, I hate to break this to you, my friend Demetrius. But we're actually down from when 10 a.m. super green was supposed to happen, sir. You know? I'm not saying you're wrong, but as of now, we're under where you said we would be super green. Not over.
Basically, it's not looking good. Might not be wrong, but...
I'm going to go out on a whim and say it's too early for that. Maybe Demetrius is right. I'm optimistic.
A whim or a limb.
Yeah. I'm optimistic here, guys. Listen, you know. I believe in you, Demetrius. I don't believe in the rest of the chat, but I believe in you, you know. Actually, I have to go back and look at what you said about that dip buy that I wanted earlier. You know. If you said sell, you're dead to me. Speaking of this,
fool you once, shame on you.
Yeah.
Me them.
Fool me once, fool me 3 times. You fool me once, you can't get fooled again, guys. Here's the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ is fading down a little bit. Yeah, we're back in the opening range here. That's true. NASDAQ is starting to dip down too here. Is HIMS a buy? I don't know, man. My portfolio is actually a little green on the day.
Did we already cover how's Meta behaving?
Meta is mostly, it was green on the day for the last, it just dipped over the last minute and went red on the day. So Meta just went red on the day. You can see the previous closing price right here. It just dipped back into that range where it's actually technically red on the day, as is most tech stocks. Most tech stocks are red right now. So we'll see, but here's
I'm just curious if they've started to recover at all from the lawsuit news.
I don't know. I think so. I think they've rebounded some here relative to where they were. The lawsuit came out, at the end of March? Yeah, and they're back up. They went as low as $517 a share. They're now at $630, so I think they have.
Okay.
I'm thinking about buying this dip here, guys. What do you guys think? Chat, this is your redeeming moment here. Your redeeming moment. It's your chance to prove you guys right, me wrong. I've been right 2 times in a row. I'm feeling pretty confident. This is y'all's chance to show me I can still believe in you guys. All right. Is it time to buy now? Yes or no? Is it time to buy right now? Yes or no? Let me know in chat right now.
I think they're wrong again. I think they're wrong again. The next time you should try doing the opposite of whatever they suggest, just to see what happens.
Buy the dip. Okay, I see a lot more buys now. Saying buy. Although I do see some no's in chat. Sklee? Isn't Sklee the bad guy or the Hook's assistant in the movie Hook? I don't know.
No, that's Shmee.
Shmee, yeah, you're right. That's me, Shmee. I'm just gonna assume you're him. All right, so we're much more split on the chat right now. Maybe yes, no, short it, buy the dip. Very split down the middle now. Look, I'll even circle. So far, I'm going to just say the chat's been right, except for those that told me to buy. All right. Look at this drop, though. This almost looks catalyst-driven. Let me see if this is catalyst-driven or not. Something might be going on right now to influence. So Iran is reportedly reviewing a U.S. proposal to end the war that would require abandoning enrichment, according to New York Post. New York negotiations were complicated by communication security concerns. We got your back, John. I feel you do. Like, I believe you do.
That's cool, but in my opinion, even if they agree, it really only works if they also agree to like impromptu inspections.
Sure. No, 100%. Right. They could say they're doing it, but you know, yeah. I feel like the U.S. has pretty good ability to fact check them on that, though. You know. All right, guys. So we're back here. The only worry I have is that we're past some of this higher volume area here, meaning we could move pretty quickly down into this area, if that makes sense. So I don't really like buying it here. I think I'm just going to wait. Catch the knife. Watch this bounce big here after I say I don't like buying it here. Buy 250. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. Got such a good green day on the books here, though. If I do buy it, it's going to be like 1 micro, and then I'll add to it if it goes in my favor. I'm not going to risk too much of the profit I have on the day. I've had like 3 green trades, and so I don't really want to take big size. I could. Right now would be the time to take big size, but
depends on if you want to take the chance, huh?
Right. Like, the time to take bigger risk trades is in periods like this. Here, hold on. Let's try right here at 250. All right, so we just bought 1 micro. It's a psychological level. We'll see if we get us some strength.
Oh, and you were right, Pew. It is SME, not SHME. I was wrong.
It's been a while since I've seen Hook. My family and I have watched it so many times that...
I just know it was Bob Hoskins, and he was the star in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, another excellent movie.
Yeah, they're all pretty good. Nvidia is starting to bounce here, though. We are green. We're not green enough for me to do anything with it, but we are green, nonetheless. And I can't hold this close to break even if it starts to break down under 250s.
What would it take for you to take some kind of action here?
A much bigger move up that I could either add to or take profit into. And if we dip down, I would say below, I don't know. There's a chance we bounce at 240 as well. But, you know, we're basically flat on this position. So I'm not going to let it run too much negative on me. I want to give it a chance to rebound back higher. But we've really been sitting close to flat for a while. So it just depends on the price action. Some price actions like, hey, get out. Some price actions like, hey, add to this. And right now we're getting somewhere in the middle here. So like we're going up and down. I don't want to get stuck in up and down movement either, though. So
later, Stoic. Have a good one.
Hey, see you, brother. No, I don't remember that reference, Lee.
I don't either. I'm usually pretty good with those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Die Hard is totally a Christmas movie.
I know, I tried to sell it one time. Like, my family's like, hey, let's watch a Christmas movie. And I'm like, Die Hard. Hey, shout out to whoever told me to buy here. I didn't hate it. All right, we're going to add to this. And see if we get a bigger move up that we can take profit into. There it is. Take half off there. And we're going to get out the rest right there. So, not bad.
Sorry, that was loud.
Oh yeah, Vib. Okay, that was you. Yeah, no, 250 makes sense. You guys know me. I like buying at big psychological levels, whole dollar numbers, 50 increments, and so 250. As soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, so good call, good job. I can respect it. It fit within my trade plan that I like anyway.
I mean, with some outliers, I mean, most people's psychology on these types of things mirror each other.
Right, and markets do move based off of psychology, you know? Like, again, people are like, oh, well, that doesn't make any sense. Sometimes, like, look, I use volume profile a lot in my trading. People make things too complicated, though. And how do they make things too complicated? They make things too complicated because simplicity is what's the most obvious thing in markets. And simplicity is really what the most people follow. Like, you can go with these really obscure indicators and everything like that. A lot of the time, like even volume profile, a lot of the time what it's showing you is big psychological whole dollar numbers with a lot of confirmation. That's where the volume is going to be most heavily packed, is these big psychological levels. Again, 250 here. It shows the cutoff of this high volume node, right? Like the value area high low. Like there's a lot of areas here that are based off of psychological levels. And so a lot of what these really complex indicators are showing you is psychological levels. If you look at where a lot of the volume profile lines up, it's psychological levels. If you look at where some of these big volume areas are, they're psychological levels. So like just to draw out the psychological level short term, here's 300s. That's one. Here's 250s. Here's another. Like, let's see if we react to 300 here. But so you want to use a mix of just psychological areas mixed with everything else. And a lot of the time they're one and the same.
Someone asked if you could explain the volume profile.
The volume profile, look, here's 300. Where do we reject? Real quick, right here. Look at 300. Even if we don't continue down, we at least make a little pit stop at this 300 level right here. Remember, we drew this before this reaction, guys. So we literally just drew this level right here. And again, it might continue higher, but at the very least, it shows you where we make a little pit stop. Look at that. We reacted exactly off of that level we just drew prior to this candle. And so I hope you guys understand, like it might seem too simple to you. It really might. You might be used to following all these super complex levels here, and we might not continue down in any type of like big profound way. But if you can find out just where this is going to make a little pit stop, it can be incredibly profitable. It really can. You got to just be disciplined enough to wait for it. Same thing with 250 down there. The volume profile, just to show you guys. So you have this high volume area here. If we're going to bounce short term, we might bounce right here. And so you can see where heavy volume is consolidated. And so what that means is, like, if we start to break into this level, sometimes we'll chop. Like the high volume areas on it show you where markets are the most balanced in regards to price, right? So we have this big high volume area. That means if we get down here, markets might be balanced. We might be going like this, or opposite way. Look at this move though. This could be catalyst driven. Let me see. Hey, thank you for the donation, my friend. I appreciate the donation, brother. Hey, thank you. Thank you for the donation, brother. Hold on. I'm trying to see if there's news. Look at that big here, Britt. I hear a lot coming from you. Could be. I think
you just heard me. No, you just heard me reading to myself. I was reading the comments. Sorry.
Okay, no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I don't know if it's a huge move, but it's a big candle wick that got retraced immediately here. So I don't know if this is catalyst driven or not. But something might be happening. All right, the president just said, if any of Iranian ships come anywhere close to our blockade, they will be immediately eliminated. End quote, U.S. president. I'm trying to see if he said this on Truth. Yes, he did.
So, for interpretation.
So he tweeted just now. He said, quote, and again, I'm just quoting the president here. Iran's navy is laying at the... he said their navy is laying at the bottom of the sea, 158 ships. What we have not hit are their small number of what they call fast attack ships, because we did not consider them much of a threat. If any of these ships come anywhere close to our blockade, they will be immediately eliminated using the same system that we use against others. Basically more threats by the president here. And so the market did initially react to that tweet. That tweet showed up right here. It got bought right back up though. And again, here's 25 300s.
Yeah, sounds like he's just talking about the speedboats with like mounted weaponry, I guess.
Sure, yeah, that's definitely possible. How will the markets digest this news? Is it good or bad? It seems a little escalating here, but it also could mean more stability if they get it done right. You know, oil is trending slightly higher, and we'll see if this 300 level holds. But yeah, look at that support. All right, so here's a retest of 300s. But no, I appreciate the donation in him. Thank you, my friend. Is this good or bad news, guys? Put good or bad in the chat right now. Let me know.
Just depends on how it's received or interpreted, I guess. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a hard time making a decision on this one.
Weird, bad, good, bad. I don't know. Yes, bad. Sounds bad.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the territory. You know.
Yeah, I see some people saying, sounds bad, but I mean, again, it's all about interpretation. We just have no idea how people at large are gonna interpret this.
Sure. No, 100%. Everything that dude says is bad. All good to hopefully get no surprises. Sounds taco. I don't know if this is taco. I would say he's been saying 10 a.m. deadline. I think this is him following through, so this is not taco.
Although the chat may indicate how people are going to take this at large. I mean, kind of like a microcosm,
Yeah, right. Wisdom of the crowd kind of thing. Yeah. Escalating. Yeah, I think it's a little escalating, but I think this one's a little bit different than what most would consider escalation. I think this one, if they effectively get the blockade done and it stabilizes the price of oil, it could be the opposite. You know what I mean? And so I think it's kind of somewhere, it's somewhere in the middle. It means the blockade is confirmed, right? It would be the opposite of a taco moment. Taco would be like if we didn't do the blockade and we used it as a leveraging point. But the NASDAQ is starting to come back down here. Again, that 300 level we drew on the chart held. And at this point, I think the broader trend is kind of like a cup and hand, or a head and shoulders. Here's the head, here's the shoulders pattern, which is a bearish pattern here, would mean like potential to do this. I'm not saying this is what happens, but I think this is probably what markets are seeing. And so this is the most obvious thing right now. Now, remember, this is a news-driven market. And so we could obviously go the other way here. Doesn't mean anything. This is news-driven. So head and shoulders technical patterns work, but news-driven market is a news-driven market. So. I was out of the room. What's the latest news? Well, the president just tweeted. Is the news. And basically more threats saying Iran's small ships can't get anywhere near us in the blockade, or we're going to, so there's more escalating news for sure.
What's oil doing?
Oil is up a little bit here. So here's crude. So, we got the news that Iran might be abandoning enrichment here. And so we're still net down from that. But since this tweet, it's risen slightly. And you can see it actually jumping up a little bit right now for oil. So it's jumping a little higher.
Okay. And then if you have the time, someone asked what's happening to SanDisk. It was pump and dump for earnings.
SanDisk is flying here. It's up to 900s. It's made a crazy move. It went up to almost 800s after its earnings report, and then came all the way back down to 600, and now it's back up to 904s. So SanDisk makes memory like RAM. Yeah. And so memory is incredibly expensive right now. Incredibly expensive. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, guys. Oil is moving higher here, though.
Is it like a physical expansion of memory, or is it like they host your memory?
No, it's physical.
Okay.
I think it's up in the air whether we're still in the ceasefire or not with the blockade starting. Here's a question for the chat. Chat, do you guys think we're technically still in the ceasefire? Or do you think the ceasefire is broken at this point with the blockade from this morning? What do you guys think?
I don't think the blockade breaks the ceasefire, but
Not necessarily, but
any action between the two forces will, I think, in my opinion, be an official breaking of it.
yeah. Yeah, technically, yes. Realistically, no. That's kind of what I'm looking at it as, Zachary. I kind of agree with Zachary there. We're still in it, but realistically, we're kind of,
Yeah, it just depends on your perspective and how you want to come at the situation in terms of your view.
No, exactly. Yeah. All right, guys, listen. PPI inflation data drops tomorrow live, so be ready. PPI inflation data does come out tomorrow. We'll see what happens, but PPI inflation data releases. Again, one of the, check out Tradeify, guys. Tradeify also has some pretty good stuff here. They got my boy Izzy. Man, Izzy's getting old though, man. But we got Izzy here. Tradeify has really good direct-to-funded options. So if you look at like their direct-to-funded options, instant funding, 207 the first time. Very cheap for Tradeify. This is cheaper than a lot of other places. 207. If you use my coupon code BGT at checkout, is $207 for the Lightning 25K of funding. No evaluation, you're funded instantly. Check out Tradeify. They've got great pricing on everything going on right now. 40% off all accounts, 5-time used, and 30% off, ends April 30th. And so if you want to check out Tradeify, 207 direct to funding is very cheap for direct to funding here. Again, here's my here's the link if you want to check them out. Great way to help support the channel. These are all affiliates of mine, so of course I'm biased. But we'll pin this one to the top of the chat as well. Check Tradeify out, man. 207. Very cheap, very cheap. And with that said, though, guys, remember here, there's some volatility potentially coming here. There's some volatility potentially coming. Tomorrow we have PPI inflation data. This is inflation data for March. So this will include the oil spikes that we've seen. So just be careful, guys. Be careful.
What are the expected numbers for tomorrow?
The expected numbers for tomorrow, before we close this down, are 0.4% for core, 1.1% for headline. And so over a full percentage point increase, 1.1% is what's expected month over month. This is month over month reading. Again, 1.1% month over month is what's expected to increase for producer prices. Again, this is including the inflationary aspects of this conflict. So just be careful, guys. Be careful. Let's see what happens. Are you guys green or red on the day? Let me know. I'm getting out of here, though. Y'all have a great day. But, yeah.
Later, everybody. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, for sure. Again, like I said, y'all be careful. Tomorrow we have inflation data. Live. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Be ready. We'll be here. Be safe. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you guys.
Later, everybody.
Guys, I don't know what to do. It's not ending the stream. I think we're just going to have to stream forever. Dude, I've hit it in broadcast. Nothing's happening. I'm still here. Can you guys still hear me? I think you guys can.
New trade name, Perpetual Streaming.
Right, Perpetual John. It's not working here, guys. It's not working. I'm going to have to end it the other way here. Hold on, dude.